Chapter 856. Among the 8 people, I've already controlled one. The other one is a high priest of Silverwing City's city lord residence. The remaining 6, Xianxia thought to himself. He was not using the eye of control casually. Instead, he was looking for someone who was stronger. The giant elephant clan had already controlled one, so the barbarian bull clan and the humans each controlled one. A barbarian bull clan expert and a human expert cried out in pain one after another. This time, the surrounding people could not help but frown. All 3 of them cried out. There was definitely a problem. However, these 3 people all said that they were fine, so the others did not know what to do. Young master, do you want to try controlling a 4th Tribulation Supreme? Luolua's voice suddenly sounded in Xianxia's mind. Now, Xianxia controlled 3 peak supremes from the giant elephant clan, the humans, and the barbarian bull clan respectively. There were 2 spots left. Therefore, he also wanted to try controlling a 4th Tribulation Supreme. That Wuxia is a royal expert and is from the Fox Charm clan. She is resistant to the Eye of Control and is more difficult to control. Xianxia thought to himself. If Wuxia was eliminated, then there were only 3 people left. Xianxia, the barbarian bull clan's 4th Tribulation Supreme, and the humans' 4th Tribulation Supreme. Immediately, Xianxia attacked the humans' 4th Tribulation Supreme. Burning Eye. This middle-aged human suddenly felt an irresistible pain in his heart, and he also cried out in shock. However, his realm was higher than the others, so the chances of him immediately using the Eye of Control were not high. What's wrong with you? Xianxia asked loudly from the side. I don't know. My heart is burning. Someone is plotting against me. This human supreme gritted his teeth and shouted. Plotting? When Wuxia and the other 2 4th Tribulation Supreme heard this, they also trembled and began to be on guard. Although they were now working together to resist this demon fox guard, once the demon fox guard was killed, the formation would be activated. At that time they might have to fight. Who broke the agreement and plotted against him? The barbarian bull clan's 4th Tribulation Supreme shouted. It's not me. I'm the furthest away from him. Xianxia shouted as she attacked. Wuxia was the closest to the middle-aged man, but she did not make a move, so she was secretly observing to see if anyone else was noble. At this time, the effect of the burning eye had already passed. That human supreme martial artist was sweating profusely from the fever, and his vision was blurred. His combat strength had decreased by at least 20%. Once probably won't do. Let's do it again. Xianxia's eyes flashed as he activated Burning Eye once more. The human supreme being, who had originally been able to breathe a sigh of relief, was struck again and immediately cried out in pain. Wuxia trio was on guard, but they did not discover who was playing tricks. It's the Fox Princess Consort. It must be the remnant will left behind by the Fox Princess Consort. The supreme being of the barbarian bull clan shouted. After his reminder, everyone suddenly realized what was going on. So many people were watching, but they couldn't see who was the culprit. That meant that it must have been someone they didn't notice that was playing tricks on them. For example, the Fox Queen Consort. Hee. Outside, when Xianxia heard this, Xianxia grinned. This time, he directly used the Eye of Control on that human supreme being. After being burned twice, this human supreme being's willpower was extremely weak, and his combat strength had decreased by at least 30%. This was a good opportunity for Xianxia to make his move. Ding. Control successful. The system notified. Now that Xianxia had one person under control, it was time for the second one. The second target was the barbarian bull clan's 4th Tribulation Supreme martial artist. After Xianxia activated Burning Eye, the barbarian bull clan's 4th Tribulation Supreme martial artist let out a few wild cries, trying to find out who was attacking him. He would never have thought that the one who attacked him was Xianxia, who had mixed in with the crowd. When the Fox Charm clan used their charm, their eyes would turn pink. Moreover, after the charm was successful, the eyes of the person who was charmed would temporarily turn red. However, Xianxia's Burning Eye was impossible to guard against. Hold on a little longer, the Fox Demon Guard is going to die. Wuxia shouted. At the same time, she was glad that she wasn't the one who was affected. The same went for Xianxia. Now that the human supreme being and the barbarian bull clan's 4th Tribulation Supreme martial artist's combat strength had decreased, if the Fox Demon Guard died, they might be able to obtain another treasure chest. Although the Fox Demon Guard was a peak 4th Tribulation Supreme martial artist, the 4 of them were very strong. When they joined forces, the Fox Demon Guard couldn't fight back. After all, it was just a puppet. Everyone estimated that in another 3 seconds, they would be able to kill this demon Fox Guard. However, Xianxia had to subdue the Barbarian Bull Clan's 4th Tribulation Supreme martial artist before they did. Ding! Control successful. The second system notification sounded. At this moment, Xianxia had 2 4th Tribulation Supreme martial artists and 3 peak 3rd Tribulation Supreme martial artists. His and Luoluo's side was the strongest. Boom! 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 The group was still attacking the Fox Demon Guard crazily. At this moment, the Fox Demon Guard's arm had been chopped off, and its chest was badly mutilated. It was already at the end of its strength. Boom! Finally, with a loud bang, the formation that separated them from the treasure chest disappeared. The array is gone, quick! Xiangyuan's eyes widened, and she immediately rushed over. There were 5 treasure chests, and they had to obtain at least one of them. Seeing this, Wuxia quickly turned into a stream of light and rushed to the nearest treasure chest. It's finally open. Xianxia's lips curled up slightly. The moment the array disappeared, he controlled the 2 4th Tribulation Supreme martial artists to rush to the 2 treasure chests. Crack! The 4 treasure chests opened one after another, and the 4 of them quickly retrieved the interspatial rings inside. As for the last treasure chest, it was between Xiangyuan and Wuxia. This is mine. Xiangyuan kept the interspatial ring and quickly rushed to the next one. At the same time, Wuxia had also obtained her spoils of war, but she did not have time to check what was inside. She rushed towards Xiangyuan. As for the other 2, Xianxia had already controlled them to rush towards him. You 2 go and help, I'll hold them back. Xianxia shouted and rushed out. At this moment, Luoluo also knew that the 2 of them were controlled by Xianxia, so she followed and prepared to put on a show. As for Ho Wen and the others, they went to help Wuxia. They could not hurt the Fox Demon Guards, but Xiangyuan was only a 4th Tribulation Supreme martial artist, so they were still useful. Give me the items, Xianxia said to the 2 of them in a low voice. However, he still had to act on the surface. Boom! 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 Xianxia first engaged in close combat with the middle-aged man, then secretly emptied the 2 interspatial rings of the middle-aged man. Chapter 857. Boom! With a muffled sound, Xianxia was sent flying by the Barbarian Bull Clan's 4th Tribulation Supremacy. Although the scene was witnessed by others, no one knew that the items in the 4 interspatial rings were already in Xianxia's devouring space. 100 jade blood essence pills and a red crystal? Xianxia raised his eyebrows. Those were the items in the 2 treasure chests. 100 jade blood essence pills. If all of them were given to Luoluo, her strength would soar by several times. As for the red crystal, Xianxia didn't know what it was. You 2, take some people to guard the entrance of the maze. Xianxia ordered the middle-aged man and the Barbarian Bull Clan's 4th Tribulation Supremacy. Everyone, stop! Gather! Shouted the middle-aged man and the Barbarian Bull Clan's 4th Tribulation Supremacy. The group of humans and Barbarian Bull Clan's experts looked at each other and hastily stopped fighting. Then, they gathered together. Let's join forces now. When they're done fighting, we'll attack, said the Barbarian Bull Clan's 4th Tribulation Supremacy. Both sides nodded silently. However, they didn't understand when their leaders had joined forces. At the same time, Luoluo had already killed her way into the giant elephant clan's army. Not only that, she had also charmed 2 3rd Tribulation Supremacies to work for her. As for the giant elephant clan supremacy that Xianxia had previously controlled, he had already been killed by Luoluo. Now, Xianxia had one more quota. Wuxia, stop fighting. They've joined forces, shouted Xiangyuan when she saw that her people had suffered heavy casualties. Hand over the interspatial ring and I'll spare your life. Wuxia snorted coldly. Humph, what a joke. Now that they've joined forces, not only are you not worried, you even want to extort me? At most, I'll give you the treasure chest, shouted Xiangyuan. As for Wuxia, she had been paying attention to the last treasure chest. She was a royal expert of the Humei dynasty. Naturally, she knew what the Fox Princess consort had stolen several hundred years ago. The interspatial ring she had obtained just now only contained some martial arts techniques. There wasn't what she was looking for. All right, let's join forces. Hu Jie suddenly agreed. Now, the four Supremes had teamed up in pairs. However, the last treasure chest was still taken away by Hu Jie. Inside, she still couldn't find what she was looking for. There was only a pair of mid-grade Supreme Divine Weapon gloves that the Fox Queen had once used. Seeing this, Luoluo and Yi Xian looked at each other. He. Luoluo smiled mischievously. Luoluo, you deal with the others later. I'll control Hu Jie first. Yi Xian communicated with Luoluo in his mind. All right. Luoluo immediately understood. Now, 2 of the 4 Supremes of Fourth Tribulation were his people. As long as he controlled Hu Jie, he wouldn't need to control Xiangyuan anymore. He would kill her directly. All of you, hand over your interspatial rings. They belong to my Fox Charm Holy Dynasty. Hu Jie said coldly. Haha, what a joke. Your Fox Charm Holy Dynasty snatched the territory of the human Holy Dynasty. Moreover, haven't you heard of the phrase, those who can obtain treasures? Supremacy Barbarian Bull suddenly laughed. If that's the case, then we have nothing to talk about. Hu Jie said as she quickly calculated in her mind. Of the 10 people she brought, none of them were killed. At the same time, there were 2 more combatants, Yi Xian and Luoluo. Not only that, but Luoluo also controlled 2 peak Third Tribulation Supremes of the Giant Elephant Clan. Therefore, their side was still very strong. However, what Hu Jie didn't expect was that 2 of the 4 forces were controlled by Yi Xian. Help me take them down and the Silverwing City Lord will be promoted. Hu Jie said to Luoluo who was running over. Sure. Luoluo replied with a smile. At this time, the mastermind, Yi Xian, also controlled 2 Supremes of Fourth Tribulation and launched an attack. The 4 Supremes of Fourth Tribulation were fighting in pairs. The Barbarian Bull Clan's Fourth Tribulation Supremacy was fighting Hu Jie, while the middle-aged human attacked Xiangyuan. As for Yi Xian and Luoluo, they were having a great time. Their division of labor was very clear. Luoluo dealt with the small fries while Yi Xian helped to clean up. At the same time, he used his eye power to cast Burning Eye in an attempt to control Hu Jie. A great battle was about to begin. In order to prevent the people of the Silverwing City Lord residents from dying, Luoluo also put in a lot of effort to kill the human and Barbarian Bull Clan experts. Yi Xian controlled the Barbarian Bull Clan's Fourth Tribulation Supremacy to attack Hu Jie while he directly cast Burning Eye on Hu Jie. Ah! Hu Jie was hit and couldn't help but cry out in pain. A heart-wrenching pain caused her body to stop moving. Go to hell. The Barbarian Bull Clan's Fourth Tribulation Supremacy punched Hu Jie in the chest and sent her flying. While Hu Jie's willpower was greatly reduced, Yi Xian cast Eyes of Illusion on Hu Jie again. Go and get her interspatial ring. Yi Xian ordered the Barbarian Bull Clan's Fourth Tribulation Supremacy. Immediately, the Barbarian Bull Clan's Fourth Tribulation Supremacy swept over. Before Hu Jie could react, he had already taken away the 3 interspatial rings on Hu Jie's body. Then, he directly rushed into the maze. Burning Eye! Yi Xian cast Burning Eye on Hu Jie again. Next was the Eye of Control. Although Hu Jie was a Fourth Tribulation Supremacy of the Fox Charm Clan, and was slightly resistant to spiritual attacks, she still couldn't resist the power of the Eye of Control after 2 uses of Burning Eye. Ding! Control successful. Now, 3 of the 4 Tribulation Supremacies were under Yi Xian's control. At the same time, Luoluo also killed all the members of the Barbarian Bull Clan and the Human Sacred Dynasty. Let's go! The Giant Elephant Clan's Fourth Tribulation Supremacy Xiangyuan's expression changed drastically. He quickly rushed toward the entrance of the maze, but was stopped by the middle-aged human. Shortly after, the Barbarian Bull Clan Supremacy also successfully arrived. Hu Jie, come and help me! Xiangyuan hurriedly shouted when he saw 2 4 Tribulation Supremacies staring at him. However, Hu Jie was currently under Yi Xian's control. Coincidentally, Hu Jie could find an opportunity to heal the wound on her chest instead of helping Xiangyuan. Since I've already controlled 3, why don't I control all 4? Yi Xian suddenly changed his mind. Originally, he wanted to kill Xiangyuan directly, but that wouldn't end well, so he might as well subdue him first. The Barbarian Bull Supremacy and the Human Supremacy joined forces to attack Xiangyuan, forcing him to retreat. At the same time, Luo Luo also shouted to the people in the city lord manor, "You guys go out first." The peak third supremacy consecrator said, "Young city lord, I can help. I don't need your help. Don't be a hindrance here." Luo Luo immediately replied. When the consecrator heard this, he thought for a moment, then left with Ho Wan and the other 9 people and rushed into the maze. As they left, Luo Luo suddenly attacked the remaining 2 supremacies of the giant elephant clan. Rip! Rip! Chapter 858. Now there were only 6 people left. Yi Xian, Luo Luo, and Hu Jie, the 4 Supreme Tribulation Supremes. I don't have much eye power left. I can only use the Burning Eye and the Eye of Control once. Yi Xian narrowed his eyes. At that moment, he used the Burning Eye on the Elephant Garden. Ah, who's playing tricks? Xiangyuan felt like he was going to fly into the sky. The pain in his heart was tormenting him. He wanted nothing more than to tear his chest apart and pour a bucket of water on it. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Yi Xian suddenly attacked. "Young master, let me do it." Luo Luo suddenly shouted. Then she clawed out. This claw was so powerful that it shocked Yi Xian. This girl's claw intent had increased to 40%, which was 10% higher than his. After a whistling sound, Xiangyuan's chest was torn open. Although Luo Luo was only a peak level 3 supreme, her strength was not inferior to Xiangyuan's. Eye of Control. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Yi Xian quickly used the Eye of Control. Ding! Control failed. Although Xiangyuan was injured and his willpower was worn down by the Burning Eye, he was still one of the best in the Mammoth Sacred Dynasty. How could he be so easily controlled? Ah, I forgot to let Luo Luo and Hu Jie charm him first. Yi Xian was a little helpless. Now, he did not have much eye power left. He could not even use the Eye of Control once. At this moment, his vision was a little blurry. I wonder if I can overdraw my eye power? This thought suddenly popped up in Yi Xian's mind. At that moment, he used the Burning Eye on the Elephant Garden again. The remaining eye power was not enough to use the Burning Eye, but Yi Xian actually used it. Xiangyuan was hit by the Burning Eye again, and he screamed in pain. However, Yi Xian's left eye suddenly dimmed. This was the after effect of overdrawing his eye power. The more he overdrew his eye power, the more he would temporarily lose his sight. I only have half of my vision left. Yi Xian narrowed his eyes. He could feel the vision in his left eye slowly recovering. This meant that he could recover from overdrafting his eye power. Since that was the case, he would overdraft again. Eye of Control. Ding! Control successful. The system prompted. Elephant Yuan was successfully controlled, but Yi Xian had thrown in a large amount of eye power. His eyes could no longer see anything, only a vast expanse of white light. Fortunately, even though he was temporarily blind, his eye of perception was still effective. He could sense Luo Luo and the other 5. 1 second. 2 seconds. 3 seconds. Yi Xian waited for a full 5 seconds before his vision returned to normal. If a normal person was blinded for 5 seconds, they would have been killed hundreds of times over. Hurry up and give me your interspatial rings. Yi Xian ordered Hu Jie and the others. Then, he took everyone's interspatial rings. 100 jade blood essence pills, a mysterious red crystal, a huge amount of draconic luck, a mid-grade supreme divine weapon used by the Fox Queen consort, various martial arts. These were the items in the 5 treasure chests. However, when Yi Xian took out the mysterious red crystal, Hu Jie exclaimed, "Charm fusion crystal?" Yi Xian frowned. He turned to Hu Jie and asked, "Is this what you are looking for?" "Yes, master." Hu Jie nodded. Everyone present was Yi Xian's men. Moreover, the people from the Silverwing City's City Lord Mansion had already entered the maze. Yi Xian did not sense anything, so he was not afraid of others knowing. "What is this?" Yi Xian asked again. Yi Xian guessed that the royal family of the Fox Charm dynasty was looking for this red crystal. However, he did not know what it was. This half of the charm fusion crystal is a precious treasure left behind by the founding emperor of the Fox Charm dynasty. It was later stolen by the Fox Queen consort. This charm fusion crystal can be fused into the body of the Fox Charm clan. After refining it, it can greatly increase one's charm ability and cultivation speed. Hu Jie explained. After refining it, It can greatly increase one's charm ability and cultivation speed?
Yi Xian narrowed his eyes and said, "You are saying that this is only half of it?"
Yes, the Fox Queen consort only stole half of it. The other half is still with the royal family.
If it is fused into a whole crystal, the effect will be greatly improved, Wuxia nodded and said.
Luo Luo, this is for you. Yi Xian directly threw the half of the charm fusion crystal to Luo Luo. After receiving it, Luo Luo smiled and said, "Thank you, young master." For the Fox Charm Holy Dynasty to attach so much importance to it, the effect would definitely be unexpected. Luo Luo could only charm opponents of the same level. It would be difficult for her to charm opponents of a higher level, but if she fused with the charm fusion crystal, it wouldn't be so difficult. Of course, the most important thing was that it could increase one's cultivation speed. Unfortunately, it was only effective for the Fox Charm Clan's people to refine. I have no use for these. You can have them all. Yi Xian also gave the rest to Luo Luo. Luo Luo was already grinning from ear to ear. This secret realm had greatly improved her strength. When she entered, she was only an early-stage third supreme being. Now, she had broken through to the peak of third supreme being, and was about to undergo her tribulation. Now that the items had fallen into Yi Xian's hands, there was no need for them to stay here. Wait, I want you to put on a show. Yi Xian's plan was very simple. He wanted the barbarian bull tribe's fourth tribulation supremacy and the humans' fourth tribulation supremacy to join forces and quickly leave the secret realm. Then, the rest of them would continue to leave. Their purpose was to put on a show for the Silver Wing City's consecrators. When the time came, even if the royal family came, they could say that the items were with the barbarian bull tribe's supreme being and the human supremacy. However, to be safe, Yi Xian still kept the items with Luo Luo, just in case. Let's go, let's go. Yi Xian directly controlled the barbarian bull tribe's supreme being and the human supremacy to rush into the maze. He, Luo Luo, and Hu Jie followed closely behind. When they were about to reach the entrance of the palace, they started to attack. Then, the barbarian bull tribe's supreme being and the human supremacy left under the gazes of the 10 consecrators of the Silver Wing City's City Lord Mansion. "Young City Lord, are you all right?" The consecrators of the Silver Wing City's City Lord Mansion surrounded them and asked about their well-being. "Of course I'm fine. It's just that the items were taken away by those two people." Luo Luo pretended to be very depressed and said. The others also believed her. After all, even Hu Jie was seriously injured. It was already good that Luo Luo was still alive. Let's go, let's go. Hu Jie, who was seriously injured, immediately ran toward the secret realm's entrance. The show was over. Just now, Yi Xian put the spoils of war in his devouring space to be safe. He felt that they might bump into other people. His premonition was right. When they left the secret realm, they bumped into a group of Fox tribe experts. Their auras were not weak. One of them was Luo Luo's father, the Silver Wing City Lord. Chapter 859. Luo Luo, you little brat. How dare you come to the secret realm? The Silverwing City governor immediately scolded when he saw Luo Luo. However, in the next moment, he sensed that something was wrong with Luo Luo's aura. Peak Level 3 Supremacy. "Father, I'm not any weaker than you now. You can't defeat me," Luo Luo said casually. The Silverwing City governor was shocked and turned to look at Yi Xian. The latter's aura was also at Peak Level 3 Supremacy. Were there so many fortuitous encounters in the secret realm? However, this wasn't the time to ask about this. Beside the Silverwing City governor, there were a few men and women from the Fox clan in gorgeous clothes. "Hu Jie, did you get that item?" A man from the Fox clan asked. Hu Jie was already under Yi Xian's control. She shook her head and said, "It was snatched away by the barbarian bull clan and a human. I got nothing." These men and women from the Fox clan were the experts from the royal family who had just arrived. However, the barbarian bull clan's 4 tribulation supreme being and the middle-aged human had left before they arrived. Therefore, the blame was naturally pushed to them. "Hu Jie, I'm sorry. Hand over all your interspatial rings," the man from the Fox clan said without listening to Hu Jie's words. As expected. Upon hearing this, Yi Xian and Luo Luo looked at each other. Fortunately, Yi Xian had kept the items in his devouring space. Otherwise, they would be in big trouble. Immediately, everyone handed over their interspatial rings.
The man from the Fox clan glanced at them. After confirming that no one was hiding anything, he began to check the interspatial rings one by one. Soon, he was done checking the interspatial rings. As expected, there was nothing related to the Fox Queen. There were only some jade blood essence pills. The royal family had many jade blood essence pills. Therefore, they weren't too precious to the experts from the royal family. Wuxia, tell us everything that happened. The man from the Fox clan threw the interspatial rings back to everyone and asked. Wuxia began to narrate her experience. For example, she and the others discovered the secret realm together. Then, they went to Silverwing City to ask for help. She also told them what happened after that. However, she was already under Yi Xian's control. What she said was only half true and half false. So that means that the two interspatial rings you obtained didn't have that item? The man from the Fox clan asked. Yes. Wuxia nodded. The Foxman paused and said, quickly draw the faces of those two people. Put them on the wanted list throughout the country. The charm fusion crystal was the most precious treasure of the Fox Charm Holy Dynasty. Hundreds of years ago, no one had been able to refine it, so they had opened it up. Unexpectedly, the Fox Queen had stolen half of it. Now the Fox Queen's secret land had appeared, but the charm fusion crystal had been stolen by someone else. Fortunately, the charm fusion crystal couldn't be refined by people who weren't from the Fox clan. Therefore, it was useless for those two people to steal it. However, what no one expected was that the other half of the charm fusion crystal was currently in Yi Xian's devouring space. The matter had come to an end. Immediately, the Silver Wing City Master led Luo and the others away. As for Wuxia, she followed the imperial family experts. Huff, huff. Fortunately, young master, you took it away. Otherwise, the matter would have been exposed. Luolua's voice sounded in Yi Xian's mind. The foxman who took the lead just now had a very strong aura. He was even stronger than the demon fox guard. He was most likely a fifth tribulation supreme. Since you are going to undergo the tribulation tomorrow, you should find a quiet place to refine the other half of the charm fusion crystal. Yi Xian said. Okay. Luo nodded. Half a day later, they returned to Silver Wing City. Then, Yi Xian and Luo went into seclusion. They were the ones who benefited the most from the Fox Queen's secret land. Although they couldn't refine the charm fusion crystal, they still had the huge amount of dragon luck. Yi Xian started to refine the dragon luck with the help of the elixir. As for Luo, she was trying to refine the large amount of jade blood essence elixir in her body. As for the remaining 100 jade blood essence elixir, they would wait until they had a breakthrough. After all, there was too much elixir in Luolua's body. If they were to forcefully refine it, their bodies would explode. A day later. Young master, I have refined half of the elixir. I can undergo the tribulation now. Luolua's excited voice sounded in his mind. Okay, let's go. Yi Xian opened his eyes and stopped refining the dragon luck. His mission today was to protect Luo. However, at the moment when the two of them met, the Silverwing City's city master suddenly appeared. Luo, where are you going? The Silverwing City governor looked at the two of them. Father, I can undergo the tribulation now. We are going to find a quiet place outside the city to undergo the tribulation, Luo replied. This sentence made the Silverwing City governor's heart skip a beat. He hurriedly said, why do you have to go outside the city to undergo the tribulation? There are so many experts in the city governor's mansion to protect you. No, I just want young master to protect me. Let's go. Luo said and flew up. Yi Xian glanced at the Silverwing City governor and hurriedly followed. Although there were no 4 tribulation supremes in the Silverwing City, the Silverwing City governor secretly followed them. However, his tailing was easily discovered by Yi Xian. Your father is following us. Go through the tribulation first and refine the charm fusion crystal. Yi Xian reminded Luo. Luo nodded to show that she understood. The charm fusion crystal couldn't be known by a third person. Otherwise it would be troublesome. Supremacy Barbarian Bull and the middle-aged human controlled by Yi Xian had already flown far away under Yi Xian's control. When Yi Xian's strength was enough, he would release them. Soon, Luo found a remote mountain and began to undergo the tribulation. Luo took 30 jade blood essence pills. Even before she finished refining the pills, She was 100% sure that she could pass the tribulation. After she landed, she began to undergo the 4 tribulation supremes. Boom! The tribulation lightning struck down. However, Luolua's golden sovereign body was comparable to a 4 tribulation supremes. The tribulation lightning was as weak as an itch. Boom! 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 The other 3 tribulation lightning bolts were stronger than the previous one. However, they still couldn't pose a threat to Luoluo. When the 4th tribulation lightning struck, Luoluo broke through to the 4 tribulation supremes and began to reconstruct her golden sovereign body. When the silver-winged city governor saw that Luoluo had easily passed the 4 tribulation supremes, he heaved a sigh of relief and muttered, "It seems that this girl doesn't need my protection anymore." Luoluo was now in the same realm as him. However, Luoluo had already comprehended 40% of the claw intent. Her strength was much stronger than his. Moreover, Luoluo had Yixian beside her. Even he couldn't see through him. With the 2 of them together, there wouldn't be any danger in this area. Therefore, the silver-winged city governor turned around and left. "Young master, my golden sovereign body has improved by at least 50%. After Luoluo finished reconstructing her golden sovereign body, she said excitedly. Chapter 860. Yes, these 100 jade blood essence pills are for you. If you refine all of them, you might be able to break through to the middle stage of the 4th stage of the Supreme Martial Saint realm," Yixian said as he took out the half of the charm fusion crystal from his devouring space. The royal family even sent a 5th tribulation Supreme Martial Saint. It seems like this half of the charm fusion crystal is quite valuable. However, not everyone from the Fox Charm clan can refine the charm fusion crystal. I wonder if I can. Luoluo took the half of the charm fusion crystal and swallowed it. She started to refine it. Yixian stood quietly at the side and watched, helping Luoluo to protect her. It might not be easy to refine the charm fusion crystal. However, Luoluo's physique was extraordinary. She could refine the jade blood essence pills that others would need a few days to refine. What was this charm fusion crystal? Yixian looked at Luoluo. He felt that Luoluo's aura seemed to have changed. You can refine the charm fusion crystal? He raised his eyebrows. It was good news that Luoluo could refine the charm fusion crystal. As long as Luoluo refined half of the crystal, he would help Luoluo get the other half. At that time, Luoluo would refine both halves of the charm fusion crystal. Her cultivation speed would be much faster in the future. The process of refining the charm fusion crystal lasted for half an hour. After half an hour, Luoluo finally opened her eyes. "Young master, I succeeded." Luoluo was very excited. She gave Yixian a big hug. "How is the effect?" Yixian hurriedly asked. "The spiritual energy required for the charm fusion crystal has been reduced to a quarter. Moreover, my cultivation speed has increased by at least 40%, Luoluo explained. 40% increase in cultivation speed? Yixian raised his eyebrows. If she could get the other half of the charm fusion crystal, wouldn't her cultivation speed be doubled? It is indeed a good item. Young master will find a way to get the other half of the charm fusion crystal for you. Yixian narrowed his eyes and said. Luoluo widened her eyes and asked, "But the other half of the charm fusion crystal is in the hands of the royal family." "It's fine. Don't we have a spy? Let Hu Jie help us enter the imperial city to investigate. Let's see who has the other half of the charm fusion crystal, or where it is." Yixian's lips curled up slightly. "Thank you, young master." Luoluo stood on her tiptoes and kissed Yixian on the cheek. "All right, things aren't over yet. Let's go." Yixian brought Luoluo to a certain place. The barbarian bull supremacy and the middle-aged human were wanted by the Fox Charm Holy Dynasty, so Yixian had to get rid of them. Half a day later, Yixian arrived at the place where he had ordered the two of them to hide. The two of them were indeed hiding there, but Yixian did not attack immediately. Instead, he released them and gave them back their freedom. However, this did not mean that they could survive. Charm. Luoluo, who had refined the other half of the charm fusion crystal, immediately used her charm on the two of them. The charm fusion crystal could increase the charm ability. In an instant, the eyes of the two of them turned pink. So powerful. She succeeded in the blink of an eye. The charm effect has at least doubled. Luoluo was shocked by herself. Charm required the support of spiritual energy. After refining the charm fusion crystal, the charm effect had increased, and the consumption of spiritual energy had decreased. This meant that she could charm many people. Of course, the most important thing was her cultivation speed. This was the key. All right, let's get rid of them, Xian said. Okay. Luo nodded slightly and rushed over. Soul-rending claw. 40% claw intent. In two crisp sounds, the barbarian bull supremacy and the middle-aged human fell one after another. After seeing Luo's attack power, Xian could not help but sigh. He was only at the peak of the third tribulation supremacy, and he still needed some heavenly treasures to pass the tribulation. Moreover, he only had 30% sword intent, which made him feel pressured. If Luo can completely refine the 100 jade blood essence pills, she can at least break through to the middle stage of the fourth tribulation supremacy. I better hurry and break through to the fourth tribulation supremacy, Xian thought in his heart. Luo had already passed the fourth tribulation supremacy, and the charm fusion crystal had been refined. The two of them were also killed. The next step was to head to the imperial capital. The Fox Charm dynasty is a mid-grade dynasty, and it's considered one of the stronger ones. That Fox princess is just an ordinary princess, but she's already a fifth tribulation supremacy. It seems like it won't be easy to get the other half of the charm fusion crystal. Xian thought to himself and returned to Silverwing City with Luo first. This time, Xian's plan was to sneak into the Fox Charm dynasty's imperial palace to find the other half of the charm fusion crystal. This was one of the reasons why he kept Wuxia alive. However, when they returned to Silverwing City, they found that two people were already guests in the City Lord mansion. Luo, come here quickly. The Silverwing City Lord hurriedly called out when he saw Luo. At this time, there were already two figures in the City Lord mansion's pavilion. One of them was Wuxia, who was under Xian's control. Not bad, not bad. You're only 14 years old, but you're already a fourth tribulation supremacy. You're not inferior to those princes at all. A woman beside Wuxia said. Xian and Luo moved closer to her. The Silverwing City Lord hurriedly introduced, "This is Lord Xian, the captain of the Imperial Capital's Imperial Guards." "Greetings, Lord." Luo greeted obediently. Xian nodded in satisfaction and said, "I heard from Wuxia that Miss Luo's aptitude is not bad, so I'm here to bring Miss Luo into the Imperial Capital to be nurtured by the Imperial family." The Silverwing City Lord already knew about this matter, and he hurriedly said, "Luo, why aren't you thanking Captain Hu?" "Thank you, Captain Hu." Luo called out softly again. This was Xian's plan, but Xian didn't expect Wuxia to bring along a fifth tribulation supremacy. At this time, Xian suddenly turned to look at Xian and said, "This little brother is the Xian that Wuxia mentioned, right? Your aptitude is passable. If little brother is willing, you can follow Wuxia." "Many thanks, Captain Hu." Xian quickly expressed his gratitude. However, the tragedy was that Luo was nurtured by the Imperial family, while he was going to join the Imperial Guards. His status was obviously much lower than Luo's. "All right, since that's the case, both of you will follow me back to the Imperial capital," Xian said. "Yes," Xian and Luo said in unison. It seemed like the first step of infiltrating the Imperial capital was successful. Xian and Luo immediately followed Xian and Wuxia out of Silverwing City. Chapter 861. Silverwing City was a little far from the Imperial capital. Xian was carrying out a mission somewhere else and happened to be nearby. That was why she was able to arrive so quickly. Xian and the other three spent a total of 5 days on the road before arriving at the Imperial capital. At the same time, when they arrived at the Imperial capital, Luo was almost done refining the medicinal efficacy of the jade blood essence pill. "Luo, suppress it. Don't break through so quickly. Otherwise you will be suspected," Xian hurriedly said to Luo. Luo was his woman. The stronger Luo was, the more advantageous it would be for him. However, they were now in the imperial capital of the Fox Charm dynasty. If Luo's strength improved too quickly, it would be over if they were exposed. "Yes, I know, young master," Luo replied. If she hadn't deliberately suppressed it, she would have broken through to the mid-stage fourth supreme being long ago. Soon, Xian led the three of them into the imperial capital. "Wuxia, make arrangements for him. Luo, come with me." Hu Xian left with Luo Luo. Fortunately, Yi Xian and Luo Luo could communicate across space. It was much more convenient than the Eye of Control. Master, I am the captain of the Imperial Guards. I will arrange for you to be the vice captain later. Hu Jie said softly. All right, do as you wish. Give me a copy of the information on the Imperial family when the time comes. Yi Xian nodded. Yes. Hu Jie nodded. Now, Yi Xian only had Hu Jie as his servant. There were still 4 positions left. However, he had been hesitating whether to use the advancement point to improve the Heavenly Eye clan's bloodline. There was only one advancement path for the Heavenly Eye clan's bloodline. One advancement point could improve the effect of all the Heavenly Eyes. Moreover, the number of people who could control the Eye of Control could be increased to 10. It was very cost-effective. However, the devouring beast was extremely rare. So, he would not use it unless necessary. Master, this is your residence. Hu Jie said respectfully. All right. Yi Xian didn't have any requirements for his residence. He just wanted to give him some space. After settling Yi Xian down, Hu Jie left immediately. Yi Xian stayed in the house to wait for Hu Jie's information on the imperial family. However, just as he was waiting, suddenly, someone stepped into the range of his senses. It was 3 people, and their footsteps were hurried. It seemed that they had come with ill intentions. Who is it? Yi Xian opened the door in surprise and found 3 youths from the Fox clan. Are you our new vice captain? The leader of the Fox clan asked. Now, Yi Xian understood who the 3 of them were. They should be the 3 from Hu Jie's team. In Hu Jie's team, the previous vice captain had died during a mission, so the vice captain's position was vacant. At the same time, he also sized up these 3 people. The 3 of them were all 3rd-grade supreme martial artists, and their strength was not bad. Who's your team member? If you want to be our vice captain, we'll have to see how strong you are. The young man in the lead shouted coldly. Was. Is that so? Yi Xian walked out and said, if that's the case, then the 3 of you can come at me together. The moment these words were spoken, the 3 of them trembled. Yi Xian was at the same level as them, but he dared to challenge 3 of them at once. He was courting death. Since you're courting death, then don't blame us. Attack! The leading young man shouted and clawed out. 30% claw intent. Yi Xian had only comprehended 30% sword intent, but he had the bloodline of the sword god. Why would he be afraid of them? Whoosh! 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 A cold light flashed and easily defeated the leading young man's claw intent. Then it struck his opponent. Bang! 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 The 3 peak supremes were instantly sent flying by Yi Xian. Moreover, Yi Xian had shown them mercy. Otherwise they would have already died. Defeating 3 opponents at the same level in an instant was enough to intimidate the 3 of them. What are you doing? At this moment, Hu Jie suddenly walked over with quick steps. In fact, Yi Xian had already noticed Hu Jie's arrival. However, he asked her to wait outside. After all, he had to make a move when it was time. If Yi Xian held back, the 3 of them would definitely not listen to him. Captain! The 3 of them were not seriously injured. They hurriedly got up from the ground and shouted. From now on, he will be your vice captain. If anyone disobeys, apply for a transfer yourselves, Hu Jie said coldly. Yes. The 3 of them nodded and left dejectedly. This was just a small interlude. If the 3 of them dared to provoke Yi Xian outside, Yi Xian would not mind killing them all. Master, this is the information you asked for. Hu Jie walked over and said in a voice that only the 2 of them could hear. At the same time, she handed over a yin and yang ring. Very good. Yi Xian took the yin and yang ring. Then he asked, are there any benefits to becoming an imperial guard? Yes. Hu Jie hurriedly explained to Yi Xian. After hearing this, Yi Xian's eyes lit up. Those who are vice captain and above can enter the floating shadow pavilion to watch the battles of experts for 1 day every month. The floating shadow pavilion was a place that was specially used to comprehend sword and saber intents. Sword intent, saber intent, claw intent, and so on all depended on one's aptitude to comprehend them. There were even some who comprehended 50% or 60% sword intent when they were 4th Tribulation Supremes. Yi Xian's aptitude was not bad. If he went to the floating shadow pavilion to watch for one day, he might be able to gain something. Okay, I understand. Yi Xian nodded. Then, he asked Hu Jie to bring him to the floating shadow pavilion. Hu Jie had already given Yi Xian an identity token. With this identity token, he could enter and leave the floating shadow pavilion. The floating shadow pavilion had a total of 6 floors. The first floor displayed battles of incomplete to 10% sword intent. The second floor displayed battles of 15% to 20% sword intent, and so on. Yi Xian directly entered the floating shadow pavilion. There were dozens of rooms on the first floor, and 10 of them displayed sword intent. However, the first floor displayed incomplete to 10% sword intent. Most of the people in the rooms were probably children. He directly went to the 4th floor. There were many rooms here, and they were all labeled with sword intent, saber intent, and so on. 100 years ago, Great General Wei Wu's scryer recordings? Yi Xian's gaze swept around and landed on the first room on his left. Beside it was a stone tablet that explained Great General Wei Wu. Great General Wei Wu of the Humei Holy Dynasty. At his peak, he was a 5th tribulation supremacy. This is just a scryer recording of his battles when he was young. Yi Xian did not say anything and directly walked in. Chapter 862. Whoosh! Suddenly, an image appeared on the stone wall. It was a man from the Fox clan, but his fur was golden, which was rare. Most of the foxes in the charming Fox clan were white foxes, and there were very few foxes with other types of fur. Therefore, the members of the charming Fox clan were all surnamed by, not Hu or Jean. Yi Xian began to watch the scryer recording. In the scryer recording, 2 people began to fight. The great General Wei Wu was quite handsome when he was alive, and his opponent was an old man from the giant elephant clan. The 2 of them were evenly matched. Although this great General Wei Wu is only an early stage 3rd grade supreme being, he has comprehended 35% sword intent. His aptitude is not bad. Yi Xian thought as he began to watch the scryer recording carefully. The scryer recording was carefully selected by the charming Fox clan, and it was very useful for comprehending sword intent. Although Yi Xian didn't see the battle with his own eyes, he felt the same way. In just a short while, he had gained a lot of new knowledge about sword intent. 1 hour. 2 hours. After Yi Xian watched the scryer recording 1,000 times, he finally heard a notification sound. Ding. 30% sword intent has transformed. Currently, it is 35% sword intent. After hearing the notification, Yi Xian was shocked as well. He broke through just by looking at it. His aptitude wasn't as bad as he imagined. Many thanks, Great General Wei Wu. Yi Xian used his identity token to close the scryer recording. He had spent more than 3 hours watching the scryer recording. There are still 20 more hours. I estimate that I can at least reach 40% sword intent. Yi Xian's eyes lit up. He entered another scryer recording room, and this time, he was going to fight an expert who had comprehended 40% sword intent. This time, he spent a total of 8 hours to transform his 35% sword intent into 40% sword intent. This floating image pavilion is really a good place. In just half a day, I actually managed to increase my sword intent by 10%. My current strength is at least 5 times stronger than before. Yi Xian became more excited as he thought about it. Right now, his offensive prowess was comparable to that of a mid-4th stage Supreme Being. The golden body of Supreme Being was slightly weaker, probably only at the mid-4th stage. However, he had obtained a large amount of draconic luck from the Fox Queen Consort's secret realm, and he had only refined 1/5 of it. Once he refined all the draconic luck, he would be able to raise his sovereign golden body to the middle stage of the 4th Supreme Stage, or even the pinnacle of the 4th Supreme Stage. 12 hours left. Let's go to the 5th floor and take a look. Yi Xian planned to use up the remaining 12 hours. Perhaps he could raise his sword intent to 45%? A person who had comprehended 40% of the sword intent was already considered an expert in the royal family. Under normal circumstances, they would be at the middle or peak of the 4th stage of the Supreme Martial Artist realm. Yi Xian went straight up to the 5th floor. However, what he didn't expect was that all 6 of the 5th floor's sword intent scryer rooms were actually being used. What a tragedy. Let's wait and see if anyone leaves. Yi Xian waited outside the scryer room. 2 hours later, someone came out as expected. It was a middle-aged man from the Fox clan. His aura was very strong, and he was at least at the pinnacle of the Fourth Tribulation Supreme stage. He glanced at Yi Xian, then went downstairs.
Yi Xian wasn't picky.
He directly walked into the scryer room and began to observe.
3 hours. 6 hours. 9 hours. Very soon, Yi Xian used up the remaining 12 hours.
However, he had no choice but to leave. In these 12 hours, it wasn't that he didn't gain anything. His comprehension of the sword intent had increased by quite a bit. If he had a few more hours, he would be able to transform his sword intent to 45%. However, just as he was about to leave the scryer room, "Bastard, you're the one who made me wait for half a day?"
Suddenly, a discordant voice drifted over.
Yi Xian frowned and turned his head to look. He saw a young man from the Fox clan wearing the uniform of a captain of the Imperial Guard walking over.
Middle stage, Fourth Supreme stage? Yi Xian raised his eyebrows.
The strength of the captains of the Imperial Guard varied.
Wuxia was considered one of the weaker captains.
She was only at the early stage of the Fourth Supreme stage, while the stronger ones were at the peak of the Fourth Supreme stage. As for the young man from the Fox clan in front of him, he was at the mid-stage of the Fourth Supreme stage.
His strength wasn't bad. A mere vice-captain dares to come to the 5th floor? Are you courting death?
The young man from the Fox clan walked over and pointed at Yi Xian's nose as he spoke. If someone dared to point at Yi Xian's nose like this outside, Yi Xian would definitely beat the crap out of them. However, this wasn't the place to stir up trouble. It's important to pursue strength, but you can't bite off more than you can chew. Scram to the 4th floor and don't let me see you again. As the young man from the Fox clan spoke, he directly walked past Yi Xian. This person's face really made Yi Xian feel disgusted. However, before Yi Xian could say anything, he entered the scryer room and closed the door with a bang.
The next time I see you, I'll let you experience what heart-wrenching pain is like.
Yi Xian coldly snorted in his heart. If that young man from the Fox clan hadn't run away quickly, he would definitely have pulled him onto the stage and ruthlessly beaten him up. However, the fact that he was able to enter the scryer room meant that he also had 40% sword intent and was working hard towards it.
It's awesome to have a good father.
I've been watching scryer recordings since I was young. Yi Xian was slightly helpless as he walked out of the floating image pavilion. Although having a good father wasn't bad, using one's twin to increase one's strength was even more impressive. You might have a powerful background, but so did others. If your father wasn't a universe master, there would definitely be others who were more powerful than your father. This was what it meant to say that there was always a mountain taller than the one before it.
Yi Xian returned to his residence.
He had already copied Hu Jie's information into the swallowing space, but most of it was from the Imperial Guard. After all, Hu Jie was only a captain of a small team. When he returned to his residence, Hu Jie was already waiting for him. "Master, this is all of my wealth." Hu Jie handed over a yin and yang ring to Yi Xian. She had grown up in the Imperial City and had made many contributions to the Imperial family after becoming an Imperial Guard, so her wealth was quite considerable. At this moment, Yi Xian was about to reach the shackles of the 3rd stage of the Supreme stage. These things were enough for him to receive the lightning punishment.
All right. Yi Xian took the yin and yang ring and immediately swallowed it.
Ding! The host has reached the shackles of the 3rd stage of the Supreme stage.
You can receive the Supreme Tribulation. The current success rate is 100%. Do you wish to undergo the tribulation?
The system's notifications sounded in his mind. At this moment, Yi Xian immediately chose yes. Ding! Beginning the tribulation. Yi Xian was currently undergoing the 4th stage of the Supreme Tribulation. There were a total of 4 Supreme Tribulation lightning bolts, each stronger than the previous one. However, the system's notification said that Yi Xian's success rate was 100%, so he wasn't worried at all. Rumble! Soon, the first Supreme Tribulation lightning bolt struck down, followed by the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th.
Chapter 863.
Ding!
Tribulation successful. Current 4th Tribulation Supreme Being.
Hearing this, Yi Xian couldn't help but let out a sigh of relief. He had finally broken through to the 4th Tribulation Supreme Being level. His tribulation had attracted many onlookers, but they quickly dispersed. After all, it wasn't a big deal to pass the 4th Tribulation Supreme Being level. There were many vice-captains in the Imperial Guard who were 4th Tribulation Supreme Beings. Congratulations, Master! Hu Jie said softly. You can go now. Yi Xian nodded silently. It was all thanks to Hu Jie's wealth that he was able to pass the tribulation successfully. Therefore, he was still grateful to Hu Jie. He wouldn't kill Hu Jie like he did to the Raging Bull Tribe's supreme being and the middle-aged human. In the next few days, Yi Xian stayed in his own room and continued to refine his dragon luck before raising his sovereign golden body. After breaking through, his sovereign golden body was much stronger. He estimated that if his sword intent hadn't reached 40%, it wouldn't be able to hurt him. However, on his 5th day in the Imperial City, "Young master, can I break through?" Luolua's voice suddenly sounded in Yi Xian's mind. "Yes," Yi Xian replied. Before entering the Imperial City, Luolua was already at the 4th Tribulation Supreme Being level, so she didn't need to pass the tribulation to break through. After a while, "Young master, I broke through," Luoluo reported excitedly. Yi Xian replied, then asked, "Luoluo, how many scryer recordings can you watch every month?" "Scryer recordings? There's no time limit for us Imperial consecrators. We can watch as long as we want. However, I'm an important person to nurture. If young master wants, I can get one," Luoluo replied. "No time limit?" Yi Xian raised his eyebrows. This was the F*King difference. However, he was 9 years older than Luoluo, and his realm wasn't as high as hers. Therefore, the imperial family didn't take a fancy to his aptitude. "Okay, get me a set." Yi Xian was overjoyed and immediately shouted. Luoluo was a great help. After all, he could only go to the floating image pavilion for 1 day every month. If he could obtain a set of scryer recordings, the transformation of his sword intent would be much faster. A day later, Luoluo personally came to find him. She even brought a set of scryer recordings of sword intent. "Girl, you've been a great help." Yi Xian hurriedly accepted the set of floating image stones. "Young master, this set of scryer recordings only has up to 50% sword intent. I can't get anything higher than that." Luoluo pouted. "It's fine. 50% is enough." Yi Xian touched Luoluo's hair lovingly. The latter enjoyed it very much. Although the two of them only had a master-servant relationship, Yi Xian had long treated Luoluo as his younger sister. Luoluo was the same. "Young master, I have also comprehended 45% of the claw will. In a few days, I will be going out to carry out a mission. When the time comes, will I join your team?" Luoluo asked. "Mission? Sure." Yi Xian nodded. Luoluo was a consecrator of the royal family. It was natural for her to lead a few small teams when she went out to carry out missions. "I heard that this time, the mission is to search for the barbarian Bull clan and the human 4th Tribulation Supreme." Luoluo suddenly smiled knowingly. "What?" Yi Xian raised his eyebrows. Those 2 people were previously under his control, and their corpses were also kept by him. Now they were still in the devouring space. It should be because they look alike. So pitiful, they were misunderstood. "Young master, I will go back first." Luoluo giggled and then left. After that, Yi Xian continued to refine the dragon luck in the room, increasing the strength of his sovereign golden body. 3 days later. "Young master, I have already chosen your team." Luoluo's voice sounded in his mind. "Good." Yi Xian opened his eyes in the room. As expected, Hu Jie came in a moment later. "Master, our team has been chosen. They are going to carry out a mission." Hu Jie said. "Okay, let's go." Yi Xian nodded. For this mission, apart from Luoluo, there were 2 more consecrators. Each consecrator would choose 2 teams, so there were a total of 6 teams. Luoluo had chosen Hu Jie's team, then randomly chose a team with a mid-stage 4th Tribulation Supreme as its leader. When Yi Xian followed Hu Jie to the gathering point, he found that there were already many people there. Each team had 5 people, so there were a total of 6 teams. Including the 3 consecrators, there was a total of 33 people. Yi Xian quickly swept a glance and found that apart from Luoluo, the other 2 consecrators were both at the peak of 4th Tribulation Supreme and were quite young. As for the other 2 teams, their leaders were only at the mid-stage 4th Tribulation Supreme level. However, Yi Xian's gaze was fixed on one person. "It's him." Yi Xian raised his eyebrows. The one who caught his attention was a young man from the Fox clan. This young man from the Fox clan was the one who had scolded him on the 5th floor of the floating image pavilion. Not only that, he had seen one of the consecrators before. It was the middle-aged man who had given up the floating image pavilion to Yi Xian. What a coincidence! The corner of Yi Xian's mouth couldn't help but curl up. At this moment, the young man from the Fox clan had also noticed Yi Xian. His eyes were shining with a sinister light. Brat, I couldn't do anything to you in the floating image pavilion that day. Since you delivered yourself to me, then don't blame me for being ruthless. That day, Yi Xian had made him wait for more than 10 hours. He had to take revenge for this. Yi Xian also thought the same. Luo, is that young man with a mole on his neck in front of you from the other team? Yi Xian's voice sounded in Luo's mind. Hearing this, Luo was stunned for a moment. Then she quietly replied, "That's right. What happened to the young master?" "This brat scolded me that day," Yi Xian said. When Luo heard this, she angrily said, "Scolded the young master? Humph, he's dead for sure." "Luo, don't do anything. I'll do it myself," Yi Xian reminded her. That day, there was an expert in the floating image pavilion. If he had caused trouble there, he would have died a horrible death. Now, that young man from the Fox clan had been selected. This was going to be fun. Immediately, Yi Xian asked Jie for that person's name. He was called Dong. However, this Dong seemed to have a strong background. His father was a captain of a 5th Tribulation Supreme. However, even if he provoked Yi Xian would still kill him. Although it's not time yet, everyone is here. Let's go, the middle-aged man from the Fox clan said. Immediately, the 33 of them set off. "Young master, how are you going to deal with him?" Luo followed behind the 2 consecrators and communicated with Yi Xian in her mind. "Kill him," Yi Xian said in his mind. However, in the next moment, he changed his mind. "Forget it, just control him. After all, we still have to investigate the other half of the charm fusion crystal." Okay. Luo also understood. She was thinking that when the time came, she would create an opportunity for Yi Xian. This time, they rushed for 3 days before arriving at Lianshan City. Chapter 864. Yes. The others replied. "Let's gather here. We'll gather here 1 day later." The middle-aged man from the Fox clan said to Luo and the other person. Then, he led the 2 teams and left. The other person also led his team into the city. Finally, it was Luo's turn. "You 2 teams, follow me into the city from the west." Luo said to Jie and the other team leader. "Yes." Jie and the young man from the Fox clan replied. Although the young man from the Fox clan and Luo were both at the middle stage of the Supreme Being realm, Luo was a consecrator of the imperial family. She was someone who was heavily nurtured. Hence, the young man from the Fox clan could only obey obediently. Luo led the 2 teams into the city from the west. Along the way, they were treated differently from the others. "Look, it's the Imperial Guards." "Wow, that young lady looks to be around 15 years old. She can actually lead a small team of Imperial Guards. Could she be the princess of the Imperial family?" "She must be," the commoners from the Fox clan secretly exclaimed. No one dared to say anything bad for fear of being overheard. After all, even the city lord of Lianshan City had to be respectful to the Imperial Guards. "You 2 teams, the ordinary members will gather information in the city. The 4 of you will follow me out of the city and search. We'll gather here half a day later." Luo said. "Yes." The 6 ordinary members immediately replied and prepared to leave. But at this moment, Luo suddenly said to an early-stage supreme being from the Fox clan, "You, the vice team leader, go with them. Go to the city lord's mansion and gather information." "Yes." The man from the Fox clan nodded and left. Now, only Luo, Yi Xian, Jie and Dong were left. "The 3 of you, follow me out of the city." Luo's beautiful eyes suddenly turned. The moment she turned around, a crafty expression appeared on her face. At this moment, Dong still didn't know that he had fallen into a trap. Luo led Yi Xian and the other 2 away. There were many families and towns outside of Lianshan City. Hence, Dong didn't suspect anything. After running for a while, they stopped in a mountain range. Lady Luo, what should we do now? Hu Dong walked to Luoluo's side and said in a low voice. He wasn't someone without a background. His father was a captain, so when he saw a cute girl like Luoluo, he naturally wanted to get closer to her. If he could marry her, that would be even better. Oh, I'm a bit bored. Why don't you guys fight around and let me watch? Luoluo suddenly smiled mischievously. Fight. After hearing this, Hu Dong was startled. Then, 2 rays of light shot out from his eyes. This was a rare opportunity to show his strength to Luoluo. However, there was a problem at hand. Hu Jie and Yi Xian were only 4 Tribulation Supreme martial artists at the beginning stage. Their realms were 1 level lower than his. Even if it was 2 against 1, he would still have the upper hand. That's right, you 2 men should fight. Luoluo smiled and said. This, Hu Dong pretended to be gracious and said. But my realm is higher than his. This is a bit unfair. There's nothing unfair about it. There's no fairness in this world. Luoluo said impatiently. After hearing this, Hu Dong's eyes flashed again. He was just looking for an opportunity to make a move on Yi Xian. He didn't expect that there would be such a good opportunity right in front of him. He looked at Yi Xian. If he wanted to fight, he had to get Yi Xian's permission. I have no objections. Yi Xian smiled. His smile was very wretched. This Hu Dong still didn't know that they had colluded. In fact, the moment they entered the mountain range, Yi Xian could have made a move on Hu Dong. However, he felt that it wasn't enough to vent his anger, so he wanted to cripple Hu Dong first and then use the Eye of Control to control him. Most importantly, the other party didn't know at all. This feeling was extremely satisfying. Alright, since that's the case, then I'll suppress my realm to the early stage of the 4th Tribulation Supreme Martial Artist and fight you. Hu Dong shouted, appearing very magnanimous. However, his words and actions were so unbearable in front of Yi Xian and the other 2. He was a complete clown. No need. You don't need to suppress your realm. It doesn't matter. Yi Xian grinned. What? Hu Dong raised his eyebrows and snorted coldly. You really don't know what's good for you. You want to challenge me? Even if you're at the peak of the 4th Tribulation Supreme Martial Artist, I can still fight you. Yi Xian looked like he didn't care, which made Hu Dong very unhappy. He gritted his teeth and glanced at Luoluo who was nearby and replied, All right, since you don't know how to appreciate favors, then come at me. As soon as he finished speaking, the forest suddenly quieted down. Why aren't you making a move? Yi Xian looked at Hu Dong and said strangely, You're courting death. Hu Dong had actually been waiting for Yi Xian to make a move. After all, he was a realm higher than Yi Xian, but now, he couldn't take it anymore. Soaring Fist. Hu Dong wore a pair of gloves that were low-grade Supreme Divine armaments and fiercely threw a punch at Yi Xian. 30% fist intent. Yi Xian was a little surprised, because when Hu Dong competed with him for the sword intent in the floating image room, it meant that Hu Dong's strongest point should be the sword intent. But he didn't expect that Hu Dong had actually comprehended 30% fist intent. This was quite rare. You dare to show off a mere 30% fist intent in front of me? Yi Xian's eyes shone brightly as he directly slashed out with his sword. It was the Annihilation Slash that was at full power and had fused 40% sword intent. The fist image was easily cut open like a piece of tofu. What? Hu Dong was shocked. He was a mid-stage Supreme Divine being with 30% fist intent. In his estimation, it was enough to deal with Yi Xian, but he didn't expect that Yi Xian would easily break through his attack. But what he didn't expect was that the power of this attack was even stronger than his full-strength attack. Boom! The Annihilation Slash instantly struck Hu Dong's body, and the huge impact instantly sent him flying. This is impossible! Hu Dong shouted as he felt his injuries. He had refined over 100 jade blood essence pills, and his sovereign golden body was extremely powerful, but he was seriously injured by this sword. However, in the next moment, he felt a heart-wrenching pain. It was so painful that he let out a loud roar. His voice echoed throughout the entire mountain range, startling countless birds and beasts. However, what shocked him even more was yet to come. Young master, you're really ruthless. What if you accidentally kill him? A clear voice fell into Hu Dong's ears. At this moment, he just happened to land on the ground. But he didn't get up in time. Wasn't this voice Luoluo's? No,
I know what I'm doing. Another voice fell into his ears. Hu Dong was shocked. He hurriedly got up from the intense pain and looked in horror. Oh, the effect of the burning eye has passed. Do it again. Yi Xian's eyes widened. Hiss. Hu Dong instantly lay on the ground again and roared loudly. He couldn't understand what was going on. Chapter 865. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. Luo Luo joined the royal family at the age of 14 as an early-stage Supreme Being. She quickly broke through to the mid-stage Supreme Being level. She was no less talented than the princes, so she immediately became popular and was nurtured by the royal family. However, such a talented girl actually called a vice-captain of the Imperial Guard's captain. This really scared him. Forget it. It's a pity to kill you. I have control. Yi Xian looked at Hu Dong's pained expression and glared at him. Ding! Control successful. The system notified. Yi Xian immediately removed the effect of the burning eye on Hu Dong. After all, Hu Dong was now under his control and was now his servant. Greetings, master. Hu Dong said while shivering. Just now, the burning eyes had almost burned his soul away. His combat strength had dropped by at least 60%. Very good. Give me the interspatial ring. Yi Xian nodded and said. Hu Dong immediately handed the interspatial ring to Yi Xian. Then, Yi Xian directly emptied his interspatial ring. There are still 50 jade blood essence pills. Luo Luo will give them to you. Yi Xian threw a few jade bottles over. Aya, it's amazing to have a background. I only got 30 jade blood essence pills for this mission. Luo Luo wrinkled her little nose and looked very unhappy. However, this expression disappeared in the blink of an eye. Damn, I only got 5 jade blood essence pills. Yi Xian rolled his eyes. However, the jade blood essence pills were very precious to the beast men. To him, they were completely useless, so he gave all of them to Luo Luo. There are quite a lot of things, but this isn't all you have, right? Yi Xian turned around and asked. There are still quite a lot. Hu Dong answered truthfully. Good, give them all to me when we go back. Yi Xian nodded silently. He was in a good mood. Hu Dong's father was a 5th Tribulation Supreme Captain. Naturally, Hu Dong wouldn't be poor. All right, Luo Luo, take the 2 of them back. I have a place to go. Yi Xian said to Luo Luo in his mind. Young master, where are you going? Luo Luo asked. I've called my doppelganger over. I'm going to fuse with it, Yi Xian replied. Fusion. When Luo Luo heard this, her eyes couldn't help but widen as she exclaimed, I want to see it too. Yi Xian was defeated. It's just a fusion of the same person, not a fusion of a man and a woman. What are you looking at? We've already killed those 2. Just pretend to search for them. Okay, Luo Luo replied. Yi Xian immediately left. As for Hu Jia and Hu Dong, the 2 servants, they obeyed Luo Luo. Actually, there was no need to worry about the Eastern continent. The mysterious expert, old immortal Jianghu, had already covered the entire Eastern continent. Outsiders would not be able to enter. Moreover, there were already quite a few supreme beings in Lianyun City, so there was no need to worry at all. Therefore, Yi Xian called his doppelganger over. This time, he wanted to work on 2 fronts. He wanted his doppelganger to search for the heavenly materials and earthly treasures as well. Because the devouring space was shared, it was very efficient. Yi Xian spent 3 days before he finally saw his doppelganger. Immediately, he fused with his doppelganger. His doppelganger's realm, sword intent, and martial arts were instantly upgraded to the level of his original body. Early-stage Supreme Being, 40% sword intent, and various bloodlines allowed Yi Xian to have a battle prowess comparable to a peak-stage Supreme Being. There was a dangerous place nearby. Even a 5th Tribulation Supreme Being might not be able to come out alive if they entered. Therefore, Yi Xian directly let his doppelganger enter to train. In the future, he would fuse with his doppelganger to upgrade his strength. After that, Yi Xian directly returned to the Imperial City. These few days, Luo Luo had been reporting their progress from time to time. Their trip wasn't completely fruitless.
They had captured 3 Fourth Tribulation Supreme Beings and 3 Fourth Tribulation Supreme Beings from the barbarian bull tribe. However, these 6 people weren't the ones who entered the Fox Queen's secret realm that day. Under the charm of the middle-aged fox, their words were still credible. Helpless, Luoluo returned to the Imperial City first. At this time, Yi Xian was rushing to the Imperial City. After a few days, he returned to the Imperial City, then returned to the Imperial City.
Hudong, give everything to me.
Yi Xian directly controlled Hudong and took away all of his assets. After all, he was just a servant. He didn't dare to disobey Yi Xian's orders. Hudong had a 5th Tribulation Supreme Being as his father, so naturally, he wasn't poor. Hudong's assets weren't small, but it wasn't enough for Yi Xian to break through to the mid-stage 4th Tribulation Supreme Being level. Good heavens, there are actually 300 Jade Blood Essence pills. Yi Xian was shocked. However, he didn't give the pills to Luoluo. In the Fox Queen's secret realm, there's also the pill formula for the Jade Blood Essence pills in the same yin and yang ring as the 100 Jade Blood Essence pills. As long as I gather the materials, I can make unlimited amounts of pills. Yi Xian thought to himself. Since a long time ago, he had to forge and refine weapons and pills by himself. Now that he had the pill formula for the Jade Blood Essence pills, he could make money. Immediately, he called Luoluo and left the Imperial City. He was going to sell these 300 Jade Blood Essence pills and then exchange them for the materials to refine the Jade Blood Essence pills. Originally, he could do this alone, but Luoluo was a consecrator of the royal family, so maybe she would get a discount. Young master, so you know how to refine pills? Luoluo asked in her mind as she held onto Yi Xian's arm. Of course, as long as you have the materials, it won't be a problem for you to break through to the 6th Tribulation Supreme Being level, Yi Xian said very proudly. Soon, the two of them arrived at the Imperial City's largest auction house. Although the owner of this auction house wasn't from the Imperial family, everyone guessed that he must be. Otherwise, how could he become the largest auction house in the Imperial City?
My lords, what do you need?
An auction house attendant immediately came up to them. We want to buy some things, and also some Jade Blood Essence pills, Yi Xian replied calmly.
What, Jade Blood Essence pills? When the attendant heard this, his eyes widened.
Jade Blood Essence pills were specially provided by the Imperial family. Only the Imperial family could refine them. Usually, those who bought Jade Blood Essence pills were the Imperial family's experts. Yi Xian's previous mission reward was 5 Jade Blood Essence pills. Other than that, there was no other reward. Therefore, the Imperial family allowed everyone to sell Jade Blood Essence pills.
My lords, this way please.
The attendant immediately led Yi Xian and Luoluo into a private room. The Jade Blood Essence pill seller wasn't at the level of an attendant, so he asked for a supervisor. My lords, how many Jade Blood Essence pills do you want? The 4th Tribulation Supreme Being asked respectfully.
300.
Yi Xian directly answered, then took out an interspatial ring and handed it over. Chapter 866. 300 pills? The auctioneer swallowed his saliva. Other people would only buy a few Jade Blood Essence pills. He had been in this business for decades and the most he could buy was 100 pills. But this time, there were 300 pills. This was a huge order. Sir, do you want to sell them directly or in the afternoon? The auctioneer asked. Oh, there's another auction in the afternoon? Yi Xian narrowed his eyes. This was too much of a coincidence. Only a fool would directly bid for it. Something as good as the Jade Blood Essence pill would naturally be auctioned off. Go ahead, 5 pills for 1 bottle, 60 bottles. Yi Xian replied. Yes. The auctioneer nodded immediately. Then he asked, Sir, do you need anything else? Yes, take a look. Yi Xian took out a list. On it were the remaining necessities for the Heavenly Eye clan bloodline. The auctioneer took the list and took a look. He smiled and said, Sir, there's 1 void crystal in the afternoon auction. What? When Yi Xian heard this, he immediately exclaimed, Void crystal. Originally, he didn't have much hope. But now there was 1. This was too much of a coincidence. The void crystal was necessary to open the Eye of the Void. The Eye of the Void was a magical heavenly eye. Once it was opened, it could be used to locate a target. If there was a problem in the future, it could break through the void and return to the target in an instant. Simply put, It was teleportation. Teleportation. Of course, the Eye of the Void had a distance limit. There was also a positioning limit. The distance couldn't be too far. At the beginning it could only locate one target. If it located a second target, the first location would be erased. Sir, it's true. Although the void crystal is rare, it's not expensive. Only a small number of people use it to cultivate martial arts, the auctioneer said. The auction in the afternoon? I know. There are many martial arts here. Take a look. Yi Xian's eyes flashed. He was determined to get the void crystal. Even if he had to spend 300 jade blood essence pills, he had to get it. The auction was in the afternoon, so Yi Xian and Luo decided to rest in the private room. The director of the auction gave Yi Xian a token and left. Soon, it was time for the auction. Coincidentally, this auction was going to be very popular. It was said that there would be a decent mid-grade Supreme Divine Weapon up for auction. Speaking of Supreme Divine Weapons, Yi Xian also had one. No, to be more precise, Luo had one. It was the Fox Queen Consort's weapon. However, Luo didn't dare to use the Fox Queen Consort's gloves. Yi Xian reckoned that after this auction ended, he would become a tycoon. Previously, he had used the Eye of Revelation to copy countless martial arts. Their value definitely exceeded those 300 jade blood essence pills. When the shoot was about to start, Yi Xian and Luo entered a VIP room and waited quietly. The public seats were filled with all kinds of people. There were humans, Fox Clan, Barbarian Bull Clan, Ferocious Tiger Clan, Giant Elephant Clan, Demon Snake Clan. The enmity between humans and beasts didn't seem to be popular in the Fox Clan. Perhaps, only low-grade clans like the Sunflame Holy Dynasty would have such hatred. There were a total of 10,000 people in the audience seats. Just the entrance fee alone was an astronomical figure. Hee, this is the first time I'm participating in an auction. Luo was a little excited. She held Yi Xian's arm and sat beside him. I'm also a little inexperienced, Yi Xian said indifferently. Indeed, he rarely participated in auctions. Most of the time, he would kill people in the wild and snatch treasures. At this time, an old fox walked up to the auction stage. The auction starts now, the old auctioneer shouted. His old voice entered everyone's ears. Everyone sat up straight. There were so many people in the audience. In fact, many of them were here to watch the show and broaden their horizons. Yi Xian, who was in the VIP room, watched quietly. The first item was a martial art. However, he didn't lack martial arts in his current situation. Martial arts didn't require a lot of martial arts. What mattered was its quality. Very soon, this martial art was bought by someone. Then, it was time for the second item. Young master, there seems to be a lot of experts in this auction. Luo suddenly said. Yi Xian nodded. Yes, I feel it. There are at least 3 fifth tribulation supremacies. The old auctioneer is one of them. However, a 5th tribulation supremacy wasn't strong for him. After this auction, he would be able to break through to the mid-stage 4th tribulation supremacy. At that time, he wouldn't be afraid of a 5th tribulation supremacy. The items were auctioned off one by one. None of them went unsold. Among them were Yi Xian's martial arts, which were equivalent to 50 jade blood essence pills. Soon, it was Yi Xian's turn to be auctioned off. Void crystal. Void crystals usually grow at the entrance of secret realms. A small number of martial arts can be used to assist in cultivation. The starting price of this void crystal is 100 high-grade supreme pills. Each increment must not exceed 5 high-grade supreme pills. After the old auctioneer finished speaking, he also smashed his hammer. 100 high-grade supreme pills. Someone immediately shouted. 105 pills. 110 pills. 120 pills. Although the void crystal wasn't very useful, there were so many people present. There was bound to be someone who needed it. At this moment, 300 high-grade supreme pills. Suddenly, someone directly doubled the price. This person wasn't Yi Xian, but someone in the VIP room to Yi Xian's left. The person who shouted this price seems to be that 5th tribulation supremacy. Yi Xian raised his brows. He had the perception eye, so he could sense that every single movement in the entire auction venue was within his senses. However, He needed this void crystal very much. He definitely couldn't give it away. 500 high-grade supreme pills. Yi Xian immediately shouted. The two people in the VIP room paused. Then a man's voice sounded. 1,000 high-grade supreme pills. As soon as this was said, the tens of thousands of spectators below were shocked. This void crystal was worth at most 200 high-grade supreme pills, but the bid of 1,000 was too high. This was too rich. However, they also understood that what they were fighting for now was not this void crystal, but face. Tisk! Yi Xian looked disdainful and continued to shout, 2,000 pills! Wah! There was another uproar below the stage. The price had risen to 10 times the estimated price. Even the old auctioneer didn't expect this scene. 3,000 high-grade supreme pills. Chapter 867. 3,000 high-grade supreme sovereign pills. One jade blood essence pill was worth at least 10 high-grade supreme sovereign pills. Yi Xian's 300 jade blood essence pills were worth at least 3,000 high-grade supreme sovereign pills. Now, the price had exceeded 300 jade blood essence pills. However, Yi Xian was not afraid. After all, he had a lot of martial arts to back him up. Master, he seems to have a powerful background. Luo frowned and reminded him softly. Yes, I know. Yi Xian nodded. He also understood that the person in the other private room must have a powerful background. However, for this void crystal, he was willing to go all out, even if he had to offend the gods. This price made the person in the other private room pause. 5,000 pills. Yi Xian finally called out the price. The entire auction hall was silent for another 2 seconds. Then, a man's voice came from the other private room. Who are you? Just in case, Yi Xian was too lazy to answer. In an auction, the highest bidder would win, regardless of identity. The entire auction hall was silent for a few seconds. Then, the old 5 Tribulation Supreme auctioneer knocked with the mallet in his hand. Bang! 5,000 high-grade supreme sovereign pills going once. Bang! 5,000 high-grade supreme sovereign pills going twice. After shouting this, the old drummer deliberately paused. However, the person in the other private room didn't move. Bang! 5,000 high-grade supreme sovereign pills going thrice. Deal. The void crystal was bought by Yi Xian at the price of 5,000 high-grade supreme sovereign pills. The price was more than 20 times higher than the estimated price. It was simply unbelievable. Immediately, the auctioneer that received Yi Xian immediately brought the void crystal with him, knocked on the door and walked in. Master, this is the void crystal you bought. The director of the auction house was shocked. Only a fool would spend so much money to buy a void crystal. However, this was a matter of pride, so it was understandable. Very good. I won't be bidding for the rest of the martial arts. We'll go according to your auction house's price, Yi Xian said as he accepted the void crystal. Ding! The Eye of the Void has been successfully activated. With a system notification, Yi Xian activated his 5th celestial eye. Hearing this, the auctioneer's eyes lit up and he immediately said with a smile, Yes, I will calculate it immediately. At this moment, Yi Xian threw out another list. This is a list. I want to buy these materials. You can exchange the remaining high-grade supreme sovereign pills for these. Yi Xian said. All right, I'll do it right away. The head of the auction house nodded, then turned around and prepared to leave. However, in the next moment, he was suddenly stopped by Yi Xian. Eye of Control. Ding. Control successful. To be safe, Yi Xian still controlled him. As this was the Fox Charm dynasty, it was the holy land of charms. However, the people in the auction house were not charmed. Once someone was charmed, they would immediately be arrested and investigated. However, no one could see through Yi Xian's eye of control. After these valuable items were sold, there would be a break. The void crystal was sold for a sky-high price of 5,000 high-grade supreme sovereign pills, which allowed the people present to calm down. Soon, the auctioneer brought out all the items. 1,000 sets of jade blood essence pill materials. Yi Xian squinted his eyes and directly put the materials into the devouring system. Ding! The batch of jade blood essence pills has been successfully refined. There are 1,000 of them. Using the devouring system's alchemy function, Yi Xian instantly obtained 1,000 jade blood essence pills. quickly exchange them for another 1,000 sets of materials, and exchange the rest for heaven and earth treasures. Yi Xian ordered the auctioneer again. Yes. The auctioneer left again. After a while, he brought back all the items. However, the amount of jade blood essence pills was not enough. Master, one of the ingredients is almost monopolized by the imperial family, so there are not many in stock. There are only 500 sets. The auctioneer handed the items to Yi Xian. Yi Xian silently accepted the items and then swallowed the large amount of heaven and earth treasures. In the next moment, he heard a series of system notifications. Ding! The host has broken through. The host is now a mid-stage 4 Tribulation Supreme. Now, Yi Xian was not afraid of the 5 Tribulation Supreme in the private room. Young master, are we still going to participate in the auction? Luo frowned and asked. No, we have the items. Let's go. Yi Xian shook his head and then directly left. The auctioneer did not stop them. After all, the guests could leave at any time. Besides, he was already under Yi Xian's control. Why would he stop his master? The auction house had a confidentiality policy. No information about the guests in the private room could be leaked. However, the guest in the private room was not received by the auctioneer controlled by Yi Xian, so he did not know who was in the private room. However, Yi Xian had made a big profit this time. One had to know when to be satisfied. It was better to leave first. However, after he left the auction house with Luo, he sensed another expert coming out of the auction house. Young master, someone is following us. It's a Peak 4 Tribulation Supreme, Luo said in his mind. Yes, it should be the subordinate of that 5 Tribulation Supreme. Let's leave the city. Yi Xian nodded. With his current realm, he did not need to fear a Peak 4 Tribulation Supreme. This time, his purpose of leaving the city was to control this person and ask who was in the private room. At that moment, Yi Xian and Luo directly left the imperial capital. Sure enough, the tracker also left. This stalker's identity could not be determined from his clothes. He was a Peak 4 Tribulation Supreme. After Yi Xian and Luo left the city, they went straight into a forest. The two of you please wait. An old voice sounded. Hearing this, Yi Xian and Luo stopped in their tracks and turned around. Just now, the two of you were fighting with my master for the void crystal? The old fox narrowed his eyes and asked. Yes, and then? Yi Xian nodded silently. He had already used the void crystal to open the eye of the void. Sorry, you can't take away the item that my master has set his eyes on. Now, I will give you a chance. Hand over the void crystal and kneel in front of my master. My master may spare your lives. The old man said with an arrogant look on his face. It seemed that he did have a powerful background. I'm quite interested in your master as well. However, I'll say this first. If you were to make a move, the one who would kneel would be your master. The corners of Yi Xian's mouth lightly curled up. How dare you? Chapter 868. The Fox Elder possessed 45% sword intent, which was enough to break through Yi Xian's golden sovereign body. However, Yi Xian wasn't someone to be trifled with either, so he immediately slashed out with his sword. Annihilation slash. Boom! The 45% sword intent clashed with the 40% sword intent, but what remained was Yi Xian's attack. What? The Fox Elder was shocked. He was a level 4 supreme being with 45% sword intent. How could such an attack be broken by a level 4 supreme being brat? Burning Eye. Yi Xian didn't waste any time and directly used his secret technique on the Fox Elder. In the next moment, the Fox Elder felt a heart-wrenching pain. The Eye of Illusion was suitable for dealing with a group of enemies. After all, it didn't consume much eye power and could instantly affect several people. However, the Burning Eye was still the best way to deal with a single enemy. It could burn the enemy's mind and reduce their combat strength. A mere level 4 supreme being dares to act arrogantly in front of me? Let me see who your master is. Yi Xian's eyes flickered. This time, he suddenly made a move, and that was to use that precious advancement point to upgrade his Heavenly Eye Clan bloodline. Ding! Heavenly Eye Clan bloodline upgrade successful. All Heavenly Eye abilities have been upgraded. The system notified. The Heavenly Eye Clan bloodline only had one advancement path. Every time it was upgraded, the effects of all Heavenly Eyes would be upgraded. The effects of the Eye of Insight, Eye of Illusion, Burning Eye, Eye of Control, and Eye of the Void had all been upgraded. The positions of the Eye of Control had been upgraded from 5 to 10, while the Eye of the Void's position had also been upgraded from 1 to 2. Burning Eye. Yi Xian's eyes widened again. Ah! The fox elder was in so much pain that he was curled up on the floor, constantly twitching and screaming. With Yi Xian's current strength, he probably didn't even need to make a move to kill a level 4 supreme being. This was the strength of the bloodline. Eye of Control. After the bloodline upgrade, the power of the heavenly eyes had increased significantly. After using the burning eye twice, the fox elder's combat strength was estimated to be only 30% to 40%. This was the strength of the bloodline. Ding. Control successful. The system notification rang out. In the next moment, Yi Xian removed the effect of burning eye. Greetings, Master. The fox elder was in so much pain that he was hovering between life and death. His body was covered in mud, and his hair was a mess. He looked like a crazy person. Who was your previous owner? Yi Xian asked without hesitation. Yes, the current 6th prince. The Fox clan elder answered without hesitation. Indeed. Yi Xian's heart trembled when he heard this reply. There weren't many 5th tribulation supremes in the imperial capital. Only the imperial family would dare to be so arrogant. All right, I got it. Yi Xian narrowed his eyes and went straight to the old fox's yin and yang ring. Then, he took away all the good stuff inside. There were 500 jade blood essence pills in the white fox elder's interspatial ring. He was indeed worthy of being the prince's servant. Take a break first. After saying that, Yi Xian led Luo and the fox elder into the forest. Now, he wanted to do an experiment. The reason why he used the advancement points to upgrade his Heavenly Eye clan bloodline was because he wanted to use the Eye of the Void. Before the Heavenly Eye clan bloodline evolved, the Eye of the Void could only locate the target once. After the evolution, the distance increased, and the location increased as well. Coincidentally, his clone was in the charming Fox dynasty, so he wanted to see if the Eye of the Void could allow him to fly to his clone's side. Luo, come in. Yi Xian brought Luo into the storage space. Young master, what are you doing? Luo was confused. She only knew that the Void Crystal was useful to Yi Xian, but she didn't know what effect the Eye of the Void had. You'll find out soon. Yi Xian smiled devilishly and used the Void to locate the target. At the same time, his clone, who was training in the dangerous land far away, also located the target. The original body and the clone located the target at the same time. The Void door. Open. At this moment, Yi Xian's eyes suddenly flashed, emitting a dark light. Then, the space in front of him suddenly opened up a hole. This was the Void door opened by the Eye of the Void. Its effect was the same as a secret land. As long as one passed through it, they would enter another world. At this moment, Yi Xian directly passed through the Void door and arrived at the location of his clone. It works. Yi Xian was overjoyed and let Luo out. Luo saw that the surrounding environment had changed greatly, and at the same time, she saw Yi Xian's original body and clone. She was shocked. Young master, where are we? Luo asked with a confused expression. Yi Xian grinned and merged with his clone to upgrade his clone's strength. Then he said, the Ghost Swamp, one of the 3 dangerous lands in the charming Fox dynasty. What? The Ghost Swamp? Luo was shocked and turned around to look. The environment there was extremely bad. The sky was filled with boundless dark clouds. The heaven and earth essence chi in the air was disgusting. From time to time, there would be some strange cries. This was indeed the Ghost Swamp, one of the 3 danger zones of the Fox Charm Sacred Dynasty. Why are we here? The imperial capital is several days away from the Ghost Swamp. Luo asked in surprise. Haha, this is the young master's newly opened Eye of the Sky. Yi Xian grinned. In the next moment, he opened another void door and brought Luo back to the forest outside the imperial capital. This time, Luo passed through the void door by herself. However, the Eye of the Void consumed a lot of eye power, and with the void door, the eye power would be consumed quickly. After using the Eye of the Void twice, Yi Xian's vision was hazy, and it took him a few seconds to recover. The amount of eye power the void eye consumes is calculated based on the distance between the coordinates. The further the distance, the more eye power it consumes. Using the void eye twice has already depleted my eye power. However, using it once to escape is not a big deal. Yi Xian thought to himself, and then let Luo Luo out. Wow, this secret skill is so powerful. Doesn't this mean we can go anywhere? Luo Luo was so surprised that she couldn't close her mouth. You're thinking too much. This void positioning must be done personally, and the distance can't be too far. But it's good for escaping. Yi Xian grinned. The Eye of the Sky bloodline's effect would increase as his cultivation level increased. So, the Eye of the Void might be able to return to the Eastern continent directly from the charming Fox dynasty. After the experiment was successful, Yi Xian's confidence increased greatly. If he ran into any trouble in the future, he could just break through the void and leave. All right, you've rested enough. Change your clothes and call your previous master out. Yi Xian said to the Fox Elder. Chapter 869. Yes, master. The Fox Elder nodded respectfully. He changed into the same set of clothes and entered the Imperial City. What was Yi Xian's purpose in coming to the Imperial City? It was to obtain the other half of the Charm Fusion Crystal. Originally, he wanted to control a prince to gather information. He didn't expect a prince to come to him on his own accord. This was good news. Luo Luo, take 500 Jade Blood Essence pills and refine them. Yi Xian threw 500 Jade Blood Essence pills to Luo Luo. Even with Luo Luo's unique physique, it wasn't easy for her to completely refine 500 Jade Blood Essence pills. It would take at least half a month. Luo Luo would probably reach the peak of the Fourth Tribulation Supremacy in half a month. Now that my doppelganger's strength has been upgraded and I have a lot of resources, I should go to the major cities to purchase the Jade Blood Essence pills and refine them without limit, Yi Xian thought to himself. Then, he ordered his doppelganger to leave the ghost swamp. That day, he sent his doppelganger to train because he wanted to kill a supremacy sacred beast to break through. Secondly, he wanted to search for treasures. Who knows, he might find something necessary to open his sky eye. However, now that he thought about it, it would be more convenient for him to go to the city to purchase the treasures. After all, money makes the world go round. The auction was still going on, and the sixth prince probably wouldn't come out halfway. Hence, Yi Xian and Luo Luo waited outside for a while. About half an hour later, the Fox Elder led a young man in white into the forest. This young man was the sixth prince, Bai Chuan. Humph, so it's you two trash. You want to compete with me? The sixth prince snorted as he approached. Yi Xian didn't waste any time. He directly used the burning eye on the sixth prince. At the same time, the Fox Elder behind the sixth prince also attacked. 45% sword intent. Bang! Although the sixth prince was a fifth tribulation supremacy, he didn't expect his most loyal servant to attack him. Fortunately, his sovereign golden body was incomparably strong. After all, he grew up eating the Jade Blood Essence elixir. 45% sword will was actually unable to break through his sovereign golden body. What a powerful sovereign golden body. However, can you withstand a spiritual attack? Yi Xian's eyes widened again, shooting out two beams of light. Eye of Illusion. With the Heavenly Eye Clan bloodline, the effects of the Heavenly Eye Clan's Heavenly Eye had been greatly enhanced after its evolution. The combination of the Burning Eye and the Eye of Illusion had caused the sixth prince's mental strength to plummet. His strength had also been reduced by at least 20%. However, Yi Xian knew that this was not enough to control the sixth prince. Do it! Yi Xian bellowed. In an instant, he, Luo Luo, and the Fox Elder all attacked the sixth prince at the same time. In terms of comprehension, Yi Xian was only at 40% sword intent, while the Fox Elder and Luo Luo were at 45%. However, in terms of attack power, Yi Xian's attack power was above Luo Luo's. The sixth prince had to endure the immense pain while also enduring the attacks of Yi Xian and the other two. One was ravaging his mind while the other was ravaging his body. He could not help but howl at the sky. You're courting death. The sixth prince roared and launched an attack at Yi Xian. Whoosh whoosh. The wind howled. The sixth prince's punch was infused with 50% of his fist intent. If it landed on Yi Xian's body, he would probably be smashed into minced meat. Fortunately, the sixth prince was under the effects of the Burning Eye and the Eye of Illusion. He was only attacking casually, so Yi Xian easily dodged the punch. Damn, a fifth tribulation supremacy is no ordinary person. Yi Xian thought to himself and attacked again. Burning Eye. Eye of Illusion. Boom, boom, boom. One attack after another landed on the sixth prince's body. At this moment, the sixth prince's sovereign golden body was broken, and his body was covered in blood. Among the three of them, apart from the fox elder, Yi Xian and Luo Luo could barely break the sixth prince's sovereign golden body. Of course, they could only barely break it. Moreover, Yi Xian's intention was not to kill the sixth prince, but to control him. Their attacks were only coordinated with the Burning Eye to weaken the sixth prince's willpower. Due to the difference of two realms, Yi Xian used the Burning Eye on the sixth prince 5 times. At this moment, the sixth prince's willpower was almost worn down, and his combat power was less than 50%. The sixth prince, who had finally escaped from the illusion, was shocked. He gritted his teeth and asked, "Who are you? You dare to attack me? If my father finds out, your entire family will be executed. Your entire family will be executed. I have control." Yi Xian's eyes flashed. A wave of energy drilled into the sixth prince's brain. In an instant, the sixth prince's eyes changed. Ding! Control successful. After hearing the notification, the corners of Yi Xian's mouth curled up slightly. Under the siege of the three of them, the sixth prince had finally submitted to him. At this moment, the sixth prince was kneeling on the ground, covered in blood. It was a horrible sight. He raised his head in a daze and weakly shouted at Yi Xian, "Greetings, master." Yi Xian did not waste any time. He directly threw a few blood bottles containing his own blood. The sixth prince drank the blood bottles, and his injuries healed at a speed visible to the naked eye. However, because his sovereign golden body was too strong, he had to drink 3 bottles to recover to his peak. Huff, huff. The sixth prince rested for a while, and his spirit began to recover. At the same time, Yi Xian walked over and took off his interspatial ring. Mother *Ker. You really bought a lot of things. Fortunately, most of them are heaven and earth treasures. I can swallow them. Yi Xian cursed in his heart. He did not argue and swallowed all the things inside. Unfortunately, these things could not help him break through to the peak of 4th stage Supreme Being. Yi Xian was a little disappointed. He said to the sixth prince, "All right, I have something to ask you. Have you heard of the charm fusion crystal?" "Yes." The sixth prince nodded. "Do you know where it is?" Luo Luo suddenly asked. After all, this matter was related to her. The charm fusion crystal was divided into 2 pieces. The first half was stolen by the Fox Queen several hundred years ago. Recently, the Fox Queen's secret realm appeared. It was said that she was taken away by 2 4th Tribulation Supreme Beings from the Barbarian Bull Clan and the Human Clan. Its whereabouts are still unknown. As for the other half, it should still be in the Imperial City, the sixth prince replied. "Tell me more about the other half," Yi Xian said. "I am not sure about the other half, but my mother might know," the sixth prince replied. Hearing this, Yi Xian and Luo Luo looked at each other. The mother that the sixth prince mentioned was the sixth prince's mother. At the same time, she was also one of the emperor's most beloved concubines. "All right, then go and ask." Yi Xian nodded. Chapter 870. It wasn't easy to refine the charm fusion crystal. Firstly, one had to be a member of the Fox clan. Secondly, even a member of the Fox clan might not be able to refine the charm fusion crystal. Otherwise, the charm fusion crystal would be in the hands of the current emperor of the Fox clan. Yi Xian immediately asked the sixth prince to change his clothes and tidied up his attire. He then brought the 3 of them back to the Imperial City. No one would have thought that the sixth prince, a 5th Tribulation Supremacy, would be controlled by Yi Xian. With the Eye of Control's ability, even the emperor wouldn't be able to find anything strange about it. "Luo Luo, you should go back first. Refine all the jade blood essence pills first," Yi Xian said. "Okay." Luo Luo nodded and left. She still had 500 jade blood essence pills. With the charm fusion crystal and the enhancement of the beast god bloodline, it was enough for her to break through to the peak of 4th Tribulation Supremacy. As for Yi Xian, he also returned to his residence and continued to refine the dragon luck. However, he had already sent his clones to the major cities to sell and refine the jade blood essence pills. As for breaking through, he wasn't worried. After all, the sixth prince was already under his control. He wasn't afraid that he couldn't break through. The sixth prince was very efficient. On the second day after they returned to the imperial city, he found Luo Luo. After all, with his identity, he couldn't find Yi Xian in private. Master, I found out what you wanted me to find out. In Luo Luo's residence, the sixth prince respectfully handed over a document. Some things were better left unsaid. Well done. Luo Luo praised him like a little adult. Then, she checked the document. That half of the charm fusion crystal has been refined by the crown prince? Luo Luo's face turned pale. Then, she hurriedly informed Yi Xian. What? The crown prince? Yi Xian raised his eyebrows. The crown prince of the Fox clan had been appointed. He was the sixth prince's elder brother. It was said that he was already a fifth tribulation supremacy. However, the charm fusion crystal was in the hands of the crown prince. This was troublesome. After all, he had already refined the charm fusion crystal. If he wanted to take the charm fusion crystal out, he would have to dig it out from his body. This would severely injure the crown prince. If we forcefully remove the charm fusion crystal, the crown prince's realm might fall. At that time, Yi Xian narrowed his eyes. He knew that the Fox Charm dynasty had a sixth tribulation supremacy, which wasn't something he could deal with now. However, he would definitely help Luo Luo obtain the other half of the charm fusion crystal. Right at this moment. Sixth brother. An unfamiliar voice suddenly came from outside. After hearing it, Luo Luo turned to look at the sixth prince in surprise. It's Big Brother's voice. The sixth prince immediately recognized him. Big Brother. This shocked Luo Luo. Wasn't that the crown prince? At the same time, the crown prince was the owner of the other half of the charm fusion crystal. The crown prince was probably looking for the sixth prince, so he came looking for him. Immediately, the sixth prince opened the door and walked out with Luo Luo. Sixth brother, what are you doing here? A young man from the Fox clan asked outside Luo Luo's residence. He was the crown prince of the Fox Charm dynasty. By long, Big Brother, I'm looking for Miss Luo Luo. The sixth prince hurriedly explained. Luo Luo? Bai Long looked at Luo Luo and said, You're the girl that Wuxia brought back, right? You've broken through to the fourth tribulation supremacy realm at the age of 14. You're quite talented. Thank you for your compliment, Crown Prince. Luo Luo quickly replied. Luo Luo's small face was very delicate, and it was considered top-notch in the Fox Charm clan. However, Bai Long was the crown prince of the Fox Charm dynasty. What kind of beauty had he not seen before? However, for some reason, Bai Long felt that there was a strange feeling between him and Luo Luo, but he couldn't explain it. Sixth brother, I have something to talk to you about. Bai Long didn't think much about it and said to the sixth prince. All right. The sixth prince knew that he couldn't let Luo Luo interact with Bai Long, so he left with Bai Long. Phew. After Bai Long left, Luo Luo heaved a sigh of relief, but in the next moment, she revealed a sly smile. Young master, I can confirm that half of the charm fusion crystal is in Crown Prince Bai Long's body. Luo Luo quickly told Yi Xian about it. You sensed it? Yes, I sensed it in his body, but the Crown Prince is very strong, much stronger than the sixth prince. He's at the fifth tribulation supremacy realm at the very least, and he might even be at the fifth tribulation supremacy realm. Luo Luo replied. All right, I understand. Try not to interact with him as much as possible to prevent the charm fusion crystal from resonating and exposing the secret. Yi Xian reminded her. I understand. After the crown prince of the Fox Charm dynasty finished talking with the sixth prince, Bai Long returned to his palace. However, at this time, there was already a beautiful woman waiting for him in his bedroom. Mother, why are you here? Bai Long said in surprise. The beautiful woman was the empress of the Fox Charm dynasty, and she was Bai Long's mother. I'm just here to take a look. How's the refinement of the charm fusion crystal going? The empress asked. It took me a month to refine it, Bai Long replied honestly. Very good. Although it's only half of the charm fusion crystal, with your talent, it shouldn't be a problem for you to break through to the seventh tribulation supremacy realm. At that time, the Fox Charm dynasty will be able to enter the ranks of the high-grade holy dynasties. However, there's no news about the other half of the charm fusion crystal, and we don't know where it went. Your imperial father sent many people to investigate, and he even sent people to the barbarian Ox Holy Dynasty and Songkong Holy Dynasty. The empress said slowly. The Tsongkong Holy Dynasty she mentioned was a human holy dynasty neighboring the Fox Charm Dynasty. The Tsongkong Holy Dynasty was also a mid-grade holy dynasty, and it wasn't weak. At this time, Bai Long suddenly thought of something and asked, "Oh right, mother, I saw that consecrated Luoluo by chance, and I feel that there's a strange..." "What?"
the Empress asked curiously.
"I suspect that there's a charm fusion crystal in Luoluo's body," Bai Long said solemnly. As soon as the words came out, the Empress's body trembled violently, and she exclaimed, "What did you say?
A charm fusion crystal?
Mother, didn't you say that the charm fusion crystal is the most precious treasure of our clan? In fact, every clan member has the opportunity to condense a charm fusion crystal. Our ancestors' charm fusion crystal was obtained after a super genius of our clan died. Therefore, I suspect that Luoluo has a charm fusion crystal in her body," Bai Long guessed.
Chapter 871.
"It can't be wrong," Bai Long said solemnly. The Empress was silent. At this moment she suddenly thought of a problem and said, "Wait, that lady called Luoluo seemed to be brought back by Wuxia. It is said that she was also in Fox Princess Consort's secret realm. Mother, are you saying that the charm fusion crystal in Luoluo's body is the half that Fox Princess Consort stole back then?" Bai Long's eyes suddenly lit up. No, their Chen Kuan ring was checked and there was nothing in it. Even if it was refined in the secret realm, it wouldn't be so fast. After all, even you spent more than a month to completely refine that half of the charm fusion crystal. The Empress suddenly denied her own idea. After her reminder, Bai Long also felt that something was wrong. Even he took more than a month to refine it. How could Luoluo only need a day? So you're saying that the charm fusion crystal in her body is complete? White Dragon's eyes suddenly shot out two rays of cold light, mixed with a trace of killing intent. It was better to keep the charm fusion crystal a secret. Therefore, he decided to kill Luoluo and take out the complete charm fusion crystal. Although it was possible to forcefully remove the charm fusion crystal, Luoluo had to die in order to keep it a secret. "Wait, we don't have to kill Luoluo." The Empress felt Bai Long's killing intent and quickly said, "Mother, do you have any other way to take out the charm fusion crystal?" Bai Long asked. "If there is a complete charm fusion crystal in Luoluo's body, as long as you marry her, you will be able to condense half of the charm fusion crystal," the Empress said. Bai Long's eyes lit up again when he heard that. The half of the charm fusion crystal in his body was condensed by a super genius of the Fox clan. It was not condensed by him. This charm fusion crystal was naturally better than the one condensed by him. If he married Luoluo and the two of them got together, the charm fusion crystal in his body would be affected by the one in Luoluo's body. He might be able to condense the remaining half of the charm fusion crystal. This was a good idea. Luoluo is a consecrator of the imperial family. As long as you tell your father about this, your father will definitely support," the Empress said. "All right." Bai Long immediately agreed. "If that's the case, I'll go look for your father." The Empress did not delay and directly stood up. Soon, the Emperor of the Fox Charm Holy Dynasty heard about it. Naturally, he agreed. For the sake of the White Dragon, the Empress personally made a move and directly sent someone to call Luoluo. However, at this time, Luoluo was with Xianxia, handing over the sixth prince's wealth to Xianxia. "The sixth prince isn't doing very well, but these things are enough for me to break through to the fourth level of the supreme martial artist realm." Xianxia narrowed his eyes and devoured everything in the interspatial ring. Ding! The host has broken through to the peak of the fourth tribulation supreme stage. The system prompted. However, the sixth prince's wealth was not enough for him to reach the shackles and pass the tribulation. Xianxia was also helpless. If the sixth prince had not spent a large amount of heavenly and earthly treasures to improve his sovereign golden body, Xianxia would have been able to directly undergo the fifth tribulation of the Supreme Being. Later, I'll get the sixth prince to call his brothers out. I'll control them one by one. Xianxia thought to himself. Now that he had advanced to the Heavenly Eye clan bloodline, the number of people he could control increased to 10. Wuxia, Hu Dong, the old fox, the sixth prince, and the director of the auction house. There were only 5 people here, so he still had 5 more people. However, at this time, an expert suddenly stepped into Xianxia's range of detection. Xianxia raised his eyebrows. The area he lived in should not have a fifth tribulation supreme martial artist. At the same time, He also felt that this expert seemed to be Xian from that day. Miss Luo. A voice sounded. Yi Xian and Luo heard it. It was indeed Xian. Yi Xian and Luo immediately opened the door and walked out. Xian ignored Yi Xian and said to Luo, Miss Luo, the Empress invites you in. What? Yi Xian and Luo were shocked. The Empress invited Luo over? Wait, the Empress seemed to be the Crown Prince's mother? Yi Xian suddenly widened his eyes and said in his mind, The Empress? Isn't that the Crown Prince's mother? She called you over. Could it be that she found the charm fusion crystal? I'm not sure either. At that time, I felt it, so the Crown Prince might have felt it too. Luo said with a worried expression. Let's ask first. Yi Xian hurriedly said. Sister Hu, I wonder why the Empress is looking for me? Luo asked. I'm not very sure either. Xian shook her head. At this time, Burning Eye. Yi Xian directly used his Heaven's Eye on Xian. Xian's strength was weaker than the sixth prince, so Yi Xian dared to make a move here. Ugh! Xian suddenly grabbed her chest, looking like she was in pain. Her face was filled with shock, not knowing what had happened. Aya, Sister Hu, what's wrong? Luo hurriedly pretended not to know anything and moved closer. I don't know, my heart hurts so much, as if it's burning. Xian gritted her teeth. She would never have thought that it was Yi Xian who did this to her. What's going on, Sister Hu? Did you make a mistake in your cultivation? Luo asked again. I'm not sure. Xian hurriedly sat down cross-legged, but at this time, Yi Xian used the Burning Eye again, weakening her willpower again. Xian didn't understand what was wrong with her. After all, with her realm, even if a peak Fifth Tribulation Supreme Expert sneak attacked her, she would know. However, the pain just now came out of nowhere without any warning. Burning Eye. Yi Xian used the Burning Eye one last time, and then used the Eye of Control. When he fought with the sixth prince that day, he was only a fourth stage Supreme Expert. Now that he had broken through to the fourth stage Supreme Expert, it shouldn't be a problem for him to control Xian. Ding! Control successful. The system's voice sounded. Then, Yi Xian let Xian rest for a while, and then asked, Why is the Empress looking for Luo? Master, I'm not sure either. Xian shook her head, her face still as pale as snow. Yi Xian walked over and took away Xian's wealth, and then said, Okay, then you lead the way. Although he didn't know why the Empress was looking for Luo, he still wanted to be safe by Luo's side. At that time, if something happened, he could hide Luo in the storage space. At worst, he could use the Eye of the Void to leave. After all, they already knew who had the other half of the charm fusion crystal. Yes. Chapter 872. However, as long as Yi Xian was given the chance, he could leave the imperial capital with Luo and arrive at the doppelganger's side in an instant. Soon, Xian brought Yi Xian and Luo to the Empress's palace. Wait, only she can enter. Just as Xian was about to bring Yi Xian and Luo in, a silver-armored general suddenly stopped them. Fifth Supreme Being Peak. Yi Xian's heart trembled. This silver-armored general was probably the Empress's bodyguard. An expert of this level wasn't someone he could deal with right now. If this silver-armored general at the Fifth Supreme Being Peak attacked, his head would probably explode in an instant. Luo, report to me immediately after you enter. If there's anything wrong, we'll leave immediately. Yi Xian said to Luo in his mind. Okay. Luo replied. After all, she could communicate with Yi Xian in private. No one else could hear them. Yi Xian watched her enter the Empress's palace. His heart was burning with anxiety. He suddenly regretted not bringing Luo out of the imperial capital just now. At this moment, Luo had already entered the Empress's palace. Luo was led by a palace maid to meet the Empress and the White Dragon. Yi Xian was still waiting outside. Fortunately, Luo would report to him from time to time. Young master, they think I condensed the charm fusion crystal myself, Luo suddenly said. What, they think you condensed it yourself? Yi Xian raised his eyebrows and continued to ask. And then? And then, they want the crown prince to marry me and make me the crown princess. Luo replied. Hearing this, Yi Xian heaved a sigh of relief. It seemed that Luo wouldn't be in danger for the time being. However, if Luo refused, no, the Empress would never allow Luo to refuse. Yi Xian was very clear about this point. Luo, agree to them first. I agreed. They said that we'll get married in 3 days. Okay, remember to ask for a betrothal gift. Yi Xian smiled slyly outside the Empress's palace. If Luo became the crown princess, there should be a lot of betrothal gifts, right? Not long after, Luo came out of the Empress's bedroom. Young master, I brought a lot of good stuff. Luo jumped down the stairs and said to Yi Xian in her mind. Betrothal gifts. Yi Xian's eyes lit up. Looking at Luo's excited expression, it seemed that she had gotten a lot of benefits. After all, she was about to become the crown princess. If the crown prince by long ascended the throne in the future, she would be the empress. Unfortunately, Luo wasn't limited to the Fox Charm Holy Dynasty. After Luo entered, Yi Xian had been using his eye of revelation to observe the situation. When he realized that the other party didn't do anything to Luo, he was relieved. Yes, there are many betrothal gifts. Give me more so that I won't run away. Luo understood the Empress and the White Dragon's intentions. In the entire Holy Dynasty, the number of people who want to marry the crown prince is enough to destroy the entire imperial capital, and you're still not willing? Yi Xian grinned and said in his mind, Hateful young master, are you willing to marry me off? Luo said with some dissatisfaction. I can't bear to. Yi Xian replied. Luo's bloodline was extremely strange, and her cultivation speed was probably comparable to his. How could he let Luo submit herself to a mid-grade holy dynasty? Then, Xian left with Yi Xian and Luo. Young master, this is for you. On the way back, Luo gave Yi Xian an interspatial ring. Damn, the imperial family is so generous. They gave me 10,000 jade blood essence pills and countless other treasures. Yi Xian was shocked. 10,000 jade blood essence pills was enough for Luo to break through to the mid-stage or even the peak of the supremacy realm. If he had those treasures, it would be enough for him to break through to the 5th tribulation supremacy realm. This time, he really made a huge profit. At that moment, Yi Xian directly swallowed some heavenly and earthly treasures, raising his cultivation to the point where he could transcend the 5th level of the sovereign tribulation. Young master, what do we do now? Luo asked. In 3 days, you will marry the crown prince by long. If we leave now, I'm afraid your father will be in trouble. So we still have to put on a show in 3 days. Yi Xian said as he planned in his heart. This time, there was going to be a big scene. Young master, are you going to rob the wedding? Luo understood Yi Xian's intention and laughed. No, I'm not going to rob the wedding. I'm going to rebel. Yi Xian shook his head. Rebel. When Luo heard this, she couldn't help but tremble. She suddenly knew what Yi Xian was going to do. Would 3 days be enough? If it was an ordinary person, it definitely wouldn't be enough. However, Yi Xian had the eye of control, so it was enough. After leaving the Empress's palace, Yi Xian quickly left the Imperial City and found a place outside the Imperial City to undergo the Tribulation Supremacy Realm. Ding! The Tribulation Supremacy Realm begins. After obtaining the Eye of the Void, Yi Xian could summon his doppelganger to merge with him at any time. After merging with his doppelganger, he had a 100% success rate of passing the Tribulation Supremacy Realm. Soon, the 5th Tribulation Supremacy Realm descended. Boom! 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 5 consecutive Supremacy Tribulation lightning struck Yi Xian's head. After the 5th Tribulation lightning struck Yi Xian, he heard a system notification sound. Ding! The host has successfully passed the Tribulation Supremacy Realm. You are currently at the 5th Tribulation Supremacy Realm. Then, he swallowed all of Luo's betrothal gifts and stabilized his cultivation. I finally broke through. Now, even if I face the Crown Prince by long, I'm afraid I can still fight him. Yi Xian narrowed his eyes. Then, he ordered his doppelganger to use the Eye of the Void and leave the Imperial City. I'll let Luo charm Wuxia and the others. I'll use the remaining slots to control the princes. Yi Xian already had a relatively complete set of information in hand. He cooperated with Luo and quickly transferred Wuxia and the others to Luo's command. Originally, the Fox clan was innately resistant to secret techniques like charm. However, Luo had half a charm fusion crystal, so it was not difficult for her to charm someone of a higher level. Hu Jia, Hu Dong, the Fox clan elder under the sixth prince, and the manager of the auction house were all transferred to Luo by Yi Xian. As for the sixth prince, he personally tied him up. It's about time. The second prince should be here soon, Yi Xian thought to himself. When he left the imperial city just now, he asked the sixth prince to summon his elder brothers one by one. These princes were not weak, but none of them could compare to the crown prince by long. The strongest one was the second prince, who was at the mid-stage fifth supremacy realm. Soon, the second prince arrived. Sixth brother, why did you call me out of the city? The second prince asked in confusion. Second brother, there's someone you must really want to meet. The sixth prince deliberately kept him in suspense. Who? Chapter 873. Just as the second prince finished speaking, a sharp voice suddenly rang out. Whoosh! It was the sound of something breaking through the air. Sneak attack. The second prince instantly reacted, but in the next moment, he felt a burning sensation on his back. There was also a sneak attack from behind. And the attacker was his sixth brother. Boom! Boom! The second prince was attacked from both his front and back, and he immediately spat out a mouthful of blood. Yi Xian had obtained a complete set of sword essence phantom scrolls from the sixth prince, and after a period of cultivation, he had raised his sword essence to 55%. Even if the second prince had a strong physique, he could at most withstand 50% of the sword essence without being injured. Burning Eye. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Yi Xian suddenly attacked and directly used his trump card on the second prince. Sixth brother, what are you doing? The second prince gritted his teeth and shouted. However, there was still some distance between them and the imperial capital, so Yi Xian dared to attack. I didn't do anything. The sixth prince shouted in a low voice and attacked again. 50% of the fist essence was enough to break the second prince's sovereign golden body. Boom! 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 Under the joint attack of Yi Xian and the sixth prince, the second prince had no strength to fight back, and soon, he was controlled by Yi Xian. Ding! Control successful. The strongest prince in the Fox Charm dynasty was the crown prince, who had reached the peak of fifth supreme being, followed by the second prince, who was in the middle of fifth supreme being. As for the rest, they were at most in the early stage of fifth supreme being. Very good. When you come out, remember to bring all your belongings. Yi Xian narrowed his eyes and said to the second prince. Yes, master. The second prince and the sixth prince responded and left. Yi Xian estimated that as long as he could control the 9 princes, he could at least break through to the middle stage of fifth supreme being. At that time, he would not be afraid of the crown prince, and even if a sixth tribulation supreme being came, he would have the strength to fight. Soon, the second prince and the sixth prince brought people one after another. They were queuing up to deliver benefits. This time, the second prince and the sixth prince had brought along the third prince. His strength was at the initial stage of the Supreme Martial Artist 5th stage, and it was estimated that he would be able to break through to the mid-stage of the Supreme Martial Artist 5th stage very soon. Unfortunately, even the 5th Supreme Martial Artist second prince had been subdued by Yi Xian. What more him? Under Yi Xian's burning eye, the third prince was easily subdued. As for the rest, it was the exact same pattern. These princes who were under the control of Yi Xian had offered all of their wealth to Yi Xian. Regrettably, although they were princes, they could not simply reach out and ask for cultivation resources. However, with these princes added together, Yi Xian had successfully broken through. Ding! Host has made a breakthrough. Host is currently at mid-stage Supreme Martial Artist level 5. After Yi Xian subdued the 10 princes, he finally broke through to mid-stage Supreme Martial Artist. Now, he had the capital to rebel. The 10 of you, go back and secretly mobilize your troops. When Crown Prince Bai Long chooses his wife, listen to my orders. Yi Xian said to the 10 princes. Yes, master. The 10 princes replied in unison. If there was anyone present at this moment, they would probably be scared half to death. The only person who could subdue the 10 princes of the Fox Sage dynasty was the emperor of the Fox Sage dynasty. Actually, Yi Xian could have tried to lure the crown prince, Bai Long. However, Yi Xian heard that this brat had someone secretly protecting him, so he decided to forget about it. This was because the person in the dark might have reached the level of a sixth tribulation sovereign. This was not something he could defeat right now. Yi Xian only took 1 day to subdue the princes, so there were still 2 days left. Coincidentally, he obtained a good martial art from one of the prince's interspatial rings. This martial art was called the art of swallowing whale, and it could quickly absorb the dragon luck to refine the sovereign golden body. It was much better than the imperial heavenly tyrant body. If it was combined with those elixirs, Yi Xian could probably devour all the dragon luck in 2 days. No wonder these princes were so poor. They probably exchanged their wealth for dragon luck to refine the sovereign golden body. Ding! The host has learned the art of swallowing whale. Yi Xian began to refine the dragon luck. The day after tomorrow was Luo Luo's wedding day, and it was also the day of his rebellion. The 10 princes had joined forces to send out an army, which was something no one had expected. These princes' cultivation levels were not low, and they had already used their charm on the generals under their command. Hence, this time, the army would be very strong. Very quickly, 2 days passed. Young master, I have broken through. Luo Luo's voice rang in Yi Xian's mind. Peak 4th Tribulation Supreme Martial Artist. Yi Xian narrowed his eyes when he heard this. His current cultivation level had already surpassed Luo Luo's, but when Luo Luo obtained the remaining half of the charm fusion crystal, her speed might directly skyrocket. Young master, I have already created a fake body. I will come to you now. Luo Luo said and went to find Yi Xian directly. Yi Xian was also a little surprised, but just in case, it was safer to hide Luo Luo in the cosmic space. Luo Luo soon found him, and when he saw her, Yi Xian asked, "Can your fake body hide from them?" Hee. Now that I have unlocked my inherited memories, the fake body's vital signs are exactly the same as mine. As long as I don't use it to fight or get close to the Crown Prince and the 6th Tribulation Supreme Martial Artist, I should not be discovered, Luo Luo said with a smile. All right, then you can hide here. Yi Xian let Luo Luo enter the cosmic space. Tomorrow was the day the Crown Prince would choose his Crown Princess, and the 10 princes controlled by Yi Xian were secretly mobilizing troops under the guise of guarding the imperial city. Just in case, Yi Xian used the Gate of the Void to upgrade the strength of his doppelganger. Although his cultivation level did not increase, after swallowing so much dragon luck to temper his sovereign golden body, his strength had increased by a lot. At this moment, his doppelganger had already arrived in the imperial city. Yi Xian wanted to use 2 of his doppelgangers for this rebellion. As a mid-stage 5th Tribulation Supreme Martial Artist, his combat power was comparable to a 6th Tribulation Supreme Martial Artist, and his doppelganger were 2 6th Tribulation Supreme Martial Artists. Today was the day the Crown Prince, by long, chose his Crown Princess. After 3 days of preparation, the entire imperial city knew about this matter. At the same time, Yi Xian was also fully prepared. The 10 princes had joined forces with more than 55th Tribulation Supreme Martial Artists, which was almost half of the Fox Charm Dynasty's combat power. At this moment, Yi Xian was patrolling the imperial city. As a vice-captain, he was not qualified to participate in such a grand event. Those who were allowed to participate were all senior captains, who were 5th Tribulation Supreme Martial Artists. Although he was already a mid-stage 5th Tribulation Supreme Martial Artist, he had been hiding his aura and did not take the initiative to apply, so he was still a vice-captain. Young master, what is your plan? Chapter 874. Wait for the right time. Then send the troops to make the imperial family think that we are rebelling. My first target is the Crown Prince by long. If possible, I want to control the entire imperial family. Yi Xian replied. However, controlling the entire imperial family would not be so easy. After all, the current emperor of the Fox Charm Dynasty was a 6th Tribulation Supremacy. Apart from the emperor, there were 2 other 6th Tribulation Supremacies. One was in charge, and the other was protecting the Crown Prince. Therefore there were 3 6th Tribulation Supremacies in total. That was why Yi Xian was not confident. Yi Xian estimated the time. When he felt that it was about time, he remotely controlled the 10 princes. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. One signal after another rose into the sky. Not long after, a loud rumbling sound rang out in the imperial city. It's starting! It's starting! Luo Luo shouted in the cosmic space. She certainly did not expect that she would be able to witness such a scene. Most importantly, she was rebelling personally. Seeing Luo Luo so excited, Yi Xian also wanted to release her, but just in case, it was better for her to stay in the cosmic space. The show is about to start. With a thought, Yi Xian's clone, which had already entered the Imperial City with the identity token, directly rushed to the place where the Imperial City was the most crowded. At the same time, his real body did the same. At this time, outside the Fox King Palace where the civil and military officials of the Fox Charm dynasty were gathered. Your Majesty, many battles have broken out in the Imperial City. A general of the Fox clan reported. Are they people from other sacred dynasties? Why are there so many battles at the same time? What do they want to do? The emperor of the Fox Charm dynasty frowned. In fact, the crown prince's consort had not started yet, so the 10 princes had not arrived yet. However, the emperor would never expect that the people who were fighting were the 10 princes and their subordinates. Crown Prince Bai Long, who was beside the emperor, felt a little strange and said, Father, I feel that this is not a small matter. Humph. Unless those old guys from the neighboring sacred dynasties come, these troublemakers will all die. Hu Lai, you go and deal with them. The emperor snorted coldly. Soon after, a black figure descended. This person was one of the 3/6 tribulation supremacies of the Fox Charm dynasty, who was in charge of protecting the crown prince Bai Long. Yes. Hu Lai responded, then quickly rushed out. Not only that, there were also many generals present. However, their footsteps came to a halt one after another because they saw a group of densely packed black figures appear. The experts under the 10 princes first made some noise, then gathered into a powerful group and pressed toward Fox King Palace. As for Yi Xian, he had already blended in with them. When the emperor saw the leader of the 10 people, he was also shocked. Wasn't this his son? What are you guys doing? The emperor's face turned pale as he shouted angrily. The surrounding officials were also shocked. Was this a coup d'état? At this moment the second prince suddenly walked out and said, Imperial father, you favor big brother too much. Do you know what he did? What did he do? The emperor asked. He wants to kill us. The second prince bellowed. As soon as these words were spoken, everyone present was shocked. The crown prince wanted to kill his 10 brothers? At first, some people were suspicious, but when they saw that there were 2 or 3 princes who had a good relationship with the crown prince beside the second prince, they hesitated. If there were only 1 or 2 princes, they would definitely be suspected. However, there were 10 princes gathered together, which was a little strange. Bai Long, is what they said true? The emperor turned to look at the crown prince, Bai Long, and asked in a questioning tone. That's impossible. Imperial father. I'm already the crown prince. Why would I harm them? Bai Long was also shocked. Today was the day he was going to be the crown prince's consort, but he was framed by his 10 brothers. What was going on? When everyone heard that, they felt that it made sense. He was already the crown prince, and he would be the emperor in the future. If this happened before the crown prince was appointed, it would make sense. However, everyone thought that the crown prince could be deposed. Perhaps this happened before the crown prince was appointed. I will thoroughly investigate this matter. The emperor obviously believed the 10 princes' words. Unexpectedly, the second prince was not going to stop there. He directly shouted, Imperial father, I have offended you. Father, I'm sorry for offending you. Go capture Bai Long. In an instant, the group of experts behind him rushed over, while Yi Xian's original body and clone were mixed in with them. Yi Xian's original body and clone looked exactly the same, but no one noticed that at this time. Not good, stop them. The emperor was shocked. He was the most powerful person in the entire Fox Sage dynasty, but today, his words were ignored by the 10 princes. This was the first time he had seen it. In the 10 princes' camp, there were 3 peak 5th supreme being experts. Although they were not charmed, they only obeyed their master's orders. The 3 of them joined forces and attacked Bai Long, presumptuous. Hu Lai shouted and instantly blocked in front of Bai Long. However, at this moment, Yi Xian, who was hidden in the crowd, suddenly glared at Hu Lai. Burning eye. Not only that, Yi Xian's clone swept past the others and began to use the Forbidden Eye of Illusion. The Forbidden Eye of Illusion consumed only a little more eye power than the Eye of Revelation, so it was not a problem to use it continuously. What's going on? Hu Lai suddenly felt a sharp pain in his heart, which made him unable to understand. However, he was one of the 3/6 tribulation supreme beings of the Fox Sage dynasty, and his strength was incomparably powerful. Even if he endured the pain, it was not something the three-peak fifth supreme beings could compare to. Hundreds of people swooped down, and this momentum scared away many officials. Although these officials were strong, the civil officials were only third supreme beings and fourth supreme beings. Only a few generals rushed up. Bastards! The emperor cursed. He did not expect the 10 princes to directly attack. Not only that, but there were already casualties. This was serious. They are rebelling. Kill them. The emperor immediately ordered. A great battle broke out. Xianxia, who was mixed in the crowd, locked his eyes on the crown prince. The crown prince's bodyguards were already entangled by the 3 peak fifth tribulation supreme beings. Peak fifth tribulation supreme beings were considered the peak battle strength of the Fox Age dynasty, so Hu Lai did not kill them. At the same time, the selection of the crown prince's concubines seemed to be very ordinary, so there were not many experts present. Seeing that the situation was one-sided, the emperor waved his sleeves. Now he was going to take action himself. Bastards! You are courting death! The emperor roared and released a powerful aura, which instantly shocked several people, and then rushed toward the second prince. Good chance! Xianxia, who was hidden in the crowd, suddenly had his eyes lit up. In the next moment, his original body and clone rushed toward Bai Long. Chapter 875. Annihilation Slash. 2 slashes tore through the air and slashed at Bai Long. At the same time, Xianxia's original body and doppelganger used the Burning Eye and the Forbidden Illusion Eye in succession. However, Bai Long had refined the Charm Fusion Crystal and was exceptionally strong mentally. The damage caused by the Burning Eye to his mind was even lower than that of Hu Lai, who was in the early stage of the 6th Supreme State. How dare you touch my son? You're courting death. At this moment, a beautiful woman suddenly charged out. She was the Empress, Bai Long's mother. What surprised Xianxia was that she was also a 5th Supreme State peak. However, Xianxia had already raised his sword intent to 55%. His attack could even hurt a 6th Tribulation Supreme State, let alone a 5th Supreme State peak. Bang! The Empress failed to block the attack of Xianxia's doppelganger and was sent flying. Mother! The white dragon's eyes widened as it watched its mother fly out. It was furious. However, apart from the doppelganger, Xianxia's original body was also attacking him. Boom! Bai Long quickly slashed out with his sword and defeated Xianxia's attack. His sword intent was also at 55%, and his attack power was not any weaker than Xianxia's. Let's see how many times you can block. Xianxia's original body and doppelganger attacked crazily. At the same time, Xianxia also used the Burning Eye on the Empress. You're courting death. The white dragon angrily roared as it charged towards Xianxia. This time, Xianxia had indeed underestimated the strength of the Fox Charm Sacred Dynasty. In this situation, he seemed somewhat powerless. If the 3rd 6th Tribulation Sovereign of the Fox Charm Sacred Dynasty appeared, he would probably have to run. In an instant, Xianxia was fighting with Bai Long. At the same time, he had to divert his attention to continuously use the Burning Eye to burn Hu Lai and the Empress's minds. Although the Empress was a 5th Supreme State peak, she did not have the Charm Fusion Crystal. Therefore, Xianxia's burning eye was extremely painful for her. Bastard, what did you do? Bai Long shouted angrily. Xianxia did not answer. Instead, he attacked with all his might. After using the Burning Eye 3 times, the Queen's willpower was very weak, and she was easily controlled by Xianxia. Of course, before taking control of the Empress, Xianxia had freed a prince, and this prince was coincidentally sent flying by his father. However, it had to be said that the white dragon was very strong. Xianxia's original body and avatar were only able to fight him to a draw. This white dragon's strength was probably enough to fight a 6th Tribulation Supreme. At this time, the Emperor suddenly noticed this place. Not good, that Emperor is coming. We have to take this white dragon away as soon as possible. Xianxia's heart trembled, but at this time, the Empress had also recovered some of her fighting strength. Huff huff. Suddenly, the sound of something breaking through the air rang out. White Dragon shuddered, because this sound came from behind him. Bang! The Queen punched White Dragon's back. The latter was shocked. He didn't expect to be attacked by his own mother. What was going on? However, he knew that this must be Xianxia's doing. Good chance. Yi Xian's avatar's eyes flashed, and a void gate opened right in front of White Dragon. As White Dragon was sent flying, he was hit by Yi Xian's sword, and his entire body entered the void gate. At the same time, Yi Xian's avatar also rushed in, and the void gate closed immediately after. This void gate was very far away, and it was a few days' journey from the imperial capital. Done. Yi Xian's original body's eyes flashed, and he hurried over to take the queen's interspatial ring. Bastard, where did you take him? The emperor saw White Dragon disappear at this time, and he immediately roared. Half of the charm fusion crystal from hundreds of years ago had been stolen by the fox princess consort, and the other half was now in White Dragon's body. However, White Dragon disappeared right in front of his eyes. As the ruler of a country, how could he remain calm? Whoosh whoosh. As soon as he finished speaking, the emperor threw a punch at Yi Xian. This punch contained 60% of the fist will, and it was enough to destroy anyone present. However, Yi Xian was already prepared. Boom. This punch was suddenly blocked by a person's body. This person was the queen, who had just been controlled by Yi Xian. What? The emperor was stunned. He had actually punched a hole in his wife's abdomen, and blood splattered everywhere, scattering like mist. Goodbye. Yi Xian's original body broke open another void gate and entered it. Then, the void gate disappeared without a trace. Now, this mess was left to the emperor to deal with. Although the secret of being able to control people was exposed, this was the only way to protect Silverwing City. After all, Luolua's fake body had been killed by a prince controlled by Yi Xian. The battle in the imperial city continued, and Yi Xian appeared in a barren mountain range a few days' journey from the imperial city. Bai Long found himself in a strange place. In front of him, there were only two people who looked exactly the same. Who are you? Bai Long asked with a frown. Yi Xian's means had also frightened him. His first reaction was that this was an illusion. After all, he had already fallen for the illusion once. However, this time, he really left the imperial city because he was confident that he could quickly break through the illusion. Now, 2 to 3 seconds had already passed. Who I am is not important. You just need to know that I need the charm fusion crystal in my body. Yi Xian's original body replied. Are you the one who framed me and made my brother start a coup? Bai Long asked again. So what if I am? Yi Xian smiled slightly. Although he was confident that he could take Bai Long down, he still couldn't let Luoluo out just in case. After all, if Bai Long escaped, the Silverwing City Lord would be in trouble. Then what did you do to my Empress Mother? Bai Long still asked in confusion. You don't need to know that. I'll give you a chance now. Take out the charm fusion crystal yourself. Otherwise, I'm afraid you won't have a chance to live if I take action. Yi Xian said coldly. Shameless boasting. I'll capture you first and slowly interrogate you. Bai Long attacked as he said so. At the same time, he only thought that Yi Xian and Luoluo were twins. Whoosh. A cold light flashed, but it was instantly defeated by Yi Xian's original body and clone. Since they were both at 50% sword intent, Yi Xian wasn't afraid of him. Young master, do your best. My charm fusion crystal depends on you. Luolua's voice rang in Yi Xian's mind. No problem. I'll definitely get it for you. Yi Xian said solemnly. Bai Long had refined half of the charm fusion crystal and his spiritual power was extremely strong. The effect of the burning eye was probably only 1/3 of its effect on him, not to mention the eye of control. Therefore he could only use force. Boom, boom, boom. Chapter 876. Damn it, their realms are lower than mine, and their sword intent is at 55%. Why are their attacks on par with mine? Bai Long couldn't figure it out. Not only that, but the scene in front of him would also change from time to time. This was an illusion. Fortunately, his willpower was strong, and he broke through the illusion almost instantly. However, although the effect of the burning eye was reduced, it was still effective on him. The original body and the clone don't share the same eye power. See if I don't kill you. Yi Xian snorted in his heart. The eye power of his original body and clone were different. If they merged, their eye powers would stack up. Of course, it wouldn't exceed the maximum value of the eye power. Originally, Bai Long was a little overwhelmed when facing two Yi Xian whose strength was similar to his. Now, Yi Xian kept using the burning eye to weaken his willpower, causing his battle strength to decrease continuously. Meanwhile, the battle strength of the two Yi Xian didn't decrease at all. They were still at their peak. Over time, the gap between them widened. After hundreds of rounds, Yi Xian's original body slashed Bai Long with his sword, instantly breaking his sovereign golden body. Bai Long was the crown prince. At his realm, no one's sovereign golden body was stronger than his. Even Yi Xian, who had transformed his sword intent to 55%, could only injure him. However, if there were a few more minor injuries, it would become a major injury. It's time to give you a fatal blow. Yi Xian narrowed his eyes. In the next moment, he merged with his clone. His battle prowess instantly doubled. What? Bai Long was shocked. How could two people merge into one? Was the one just now a fake? He began to wonder if his willpower had decreased too much and he fell into the illusion again. Die, Bai Long! Yi Xian shouted loudly and slashed with his sword. Whoosh! Boom! This sword slashed Bai Long's body fiercely, opening a hole in his chest. Young master, I feel the aura of the charm fusion crystal. It's in his chest. Luo suddenly said. Okay, young master will take it out for you. Yi Xian shouted loudly. His whole body rushed toward Bai Long like a flash of lightning. Along the way, he split into two. His clone restrained Bai Long while his original body stretched out his hand to grab Bai Long's chest. No! Bai Long shouted angrily, but his battle strength was less than 70%. He was no match for Yi Xian. Poof! Yi Xian's left. The charm fusion crystal had already been refined by the white dragon. Now that the charm fusion crystal was forcefully taken out, the white dragon's vitality was greatly damaged. Its realm instantly dropped. In the end, it stopped at the initial stage of Supreme Being level 5. Of him. Yi Xian wouldn't let go of this opportunity and glared at him again. Eye of control. Ding. Control successful. Bai Long was indeed a piece of trash after losing the charm fusion crystal. He was easily controlled by Yi Xian. Yes. Young master. You did it. Let me out. Luo couldn't calm down. Yi Xian let Luo out. He cleaned the blood in his hand and passed the remaining half of the charm fusion crystal to her. Luo quickly threw the charm fusion crystal into her mouth. Although it was dug out from Bai Long's chest, it was nothing. Half of the charm fusion crystal increased Luo's cultivation speed by a lot. If she combined the two halves, her cultivation speed would definitely catch up. Master. Bai Long, whose cultivation level had dropped, took the initiative to offer his universe ring. He was also very pitiful. It hadn't been 2 months since he refined the charm fusion crystal, but it was taken away by Yi Xian. His cultivation had dropped to the early stage of the supremacy level 5. He had wasted the past few years of cultivation. But this was the reality. Yi Xian took the universe ring silently. There were many things inside, but it wasn't enough for him to break through to the peak of the supremacy level 5. The Imperial City is probably still fighting now. However, the Imperial family has a 6th tribulation supremacy. Those princes will probably be dealt with soon. Yi Xian thought in his heart. His original goal was to obtain the remaining half of the charm fusion crystal. If possible, he would overthrow the entire government and become the emperor. Unfortunately, he underestimated the imperial family's strength. If Bai Long, the emperor, and that emperor joined forces to attack, he would still have to escape. Fortunately, he brought Bai Long here. Even if that emperor had 10 legs, he wouldn't be able to catch up with them. When Luo started to refine the other half of the charm fusion crystal, Yi Xian also felt the change in her aura. If Luo succeeds in refining and combines the two halves of the charm fusion crystal, her cultivation speed should be doubled. At that time, her charm ability will be greatly improved. Yi Xian thought as he quietly guarded beside Luo. The last time Luo refined the other half of the charm fusion crystal, it took her half an hour. This time, Luo's refining speed was extremely fast. It took her less than a minute. However, she didn't wake up because of this. She was still in a strange state. After half an hour, Yi Xian was surprised to see that she didn't wake up. What's going on? It shouldn't take this long to refine the other half of the charm fusion crystal. What happened to Luo? Yi Xian was very surprised. At this moment, ding! The beast god bloodline has mutated. All advancement routes have been upgraded. When this system notification sounded out in Yi Xian's mind, Yi Xian's entire body shuddered and he was almost scared to death. The beast god bloodline had mutated again? He quickly took a look and realized that the advancement routes of the beast god bloodline had been upgraded again. His agility advancement had reached 7 points. This meant that the beast god bloodline could increase his movement speed by 70%. Luoluo's bloodline is really extraordinary. Yi Xian came to this conclusion. Boom! Suddenly, a powerful aura erupted from Luoluo's body and sent Yi Xian flying. Yi Xian's ribs were broken and he spat out a mouthful of blood. However, the most tragic one was the crown prince by long. His head was crushed by the impact and he died instantly. Yi Xian was shocked. Fortunately, he reacted quickly. Otherwise, he would have been in trouble. The reason why Bai Long was killed in one blow was because his sovereign golden body's strength had decreased as his realm fell. While Yi Xian was surprised, Luoluo's body also mutated. What? Golden hair? Yi Xian raised his eyebrows. He saw a few strands of golden hair on Luoluo's snow-white hair. Some golden hair grew from her ears and tail. Chapter 877. What exactly is Luoluo's bloodline? Yi Xian couldn't understand. Luoluo was a white fox, so why would she grow golden fur? It really affected her beauty. However, the two mutations of the beast god bloodline were really beyond his expectations. A 30% increase in growth speed and a 30% increase in all attributes would make Luoluo a super general under Yi Xian's command. At this time, Luoluo's mutation was not complete. What? Her aura is rapidly increasing? Yi Xian hurriedly retreated. Luoluo was at the peak of the 4th supreme stage and couldn't pass the tribulation, but in the blink of an eye, she had increased to the point where she could receive the 5th supreme tribulation. Yi Xian looked up and saw that the tribulation lightning had begun to gather above Luoluo's head. The 5th supreme tribulation. Yi Xian didn't know what to do. Luoluo hadn't woken up yet and was in a strange state. If the 5th supreme tribulation struck, what if Luoluo couldn't withstand it? Yi Xian could stop it now. After all, the 5th supreme tribulation was extremely easy for him. If he stopped Luoluo, although Luoluo's realm would regress, her life wouldn't be in danger. Luoluo is undergoing a mutation, so the 5th supreme tribulation is inevitable. I can't interrupt. After thinking about it, Yi Xian felt that he should wait and see. The first tribulation lightning of the 5th supreme tribulation wasn't very strong, so Luoluo should be able to withstand it. He would observe the situation first. If Luoluo couldn't withstand the tribulation lightning, he would go and block it. Boom! While he was thinking, the first tribulation lightning struck Luoluo's head. However, Luoluo, who was in a strange state, didn't even frown, which made Yi Xian feel relieved. Boom! The second tribulation lightning struck, but Luoluo still didn't move, and her aura was stable. Yi Xian just watched quietly. Soon, the third and fourth tribulation lightning struck. The power of the fourth tribulation thunder was enough to kill an ordinary peak fourth tribulation supreme being. Without a strong golden body of sovereign, it was impossible to pass the 5th tribulation supreme being. When Yi Xian saw that Luoluo didn't react, he didn't stop her. Boom! Finally, the 5th bolt of tribulation lightning finished condensing and struck down. At the same time, Luoluo's aura suddenly surged. 5th stage supreme martial artist. Phew, we finally made it. Yi Xian breathed a sigh of relief. However, Luoluo's aura continued to strengthen. In less than half a minute, she had risen to mid-stage supreme martial artist level, which was on par with Yi Xian. 5th stage supreme martial artist? Yi Xian rolled his eyes. Half a minute ago, Luoluo was still going through the 5th level supreme being tribulation. But half a minute later, Luoluo broke through to the mid-stage of the 5th level supreme being tribulation. Most importantly, it was still going on. Supreme Martial Artist Level 5 Peak. After sensing that the aura was stronger than his, Yi Xian was about to cry. It wasn't easy for him to rise to mid-stage Supreme Martial Artist level, but Luoluo had already reached the peak of Supreme Martial Artist level after one transformation. Soon, Luoluo's aura reached the limit of Supreme Martial Artist Level 5. In the sky, tribulation lightning started to condense again. 6th Tribulation Supreme Being. Yi Xian was so scared that he peed his pants. Luo, who had just passed the 5th level Supreme Being Tribulation, received the 6th level Supreme Being Tribulation. Was this heaven-defying? Boom! The first bolt of tribulation lightning of the 6th level Supreme Being Tribulation struck down. This 6th level Supreme Being Tribulation wasn't something that Yi Xian could withstand. He was afraid that he could only withstand 1 or 2 bolts at most. The 3rd bolt of tribulation lightning might be able to destroy his soul. Now, he could only hope that Luo's body was strong enough to completely pass the 6th level Supreme Being Tribulation. However, his worries were unnecessary. Luo safely passed the 1st bolt of tribulation lightning. Not only that, but also the 2nd, 3rd and 4th bolts were the same. At this time, it was already the 5th bolt of tribulation lightning. The power of this tribulation lightning would definitely be able to destroy Yi Xian's soul. Boom! The tribulation lightning struck down, but Luo didn't move at all. She safely passed the tribulation lightning. It seems that Luo will definitely enter the 6th level Supreme Being Tribulation Supreme Being. Yi Xian thought to himself. In this situation, he couldn't interfere. If Luo failed to pass the tribulation, even he couldn't do anything. However, once Luo passed the tribulation successfully, she would become a 6th level Supreme Being. At that time, no one in the Fox Charm dynasty would be a match for her. Yi Xian watched quietly. Soon, the 6th bolt of tribulation lightning struck down. Boom! The tribulation lightning struck Luo's small head. However, what shocked Yi Xian was that Luo didn't even frown. A 6th level Supreme Being. F***ck, she has already passed the tribulation, but her aura is still increasing. Yi Xian was already full of admiration. Could it be that Luo was going to reach the mid-6th level Supreme Being in one go? However, he was thinking too much. After successfully passing the tribulation, Luo's aura increased a little slowly. In the end, it stopped at the early 6th level Supreme Being. However, she was only halfway to the mid-6th level Supreme Being. At this time, Luo finally opened her eyes. Young master, Luo moaned softly. Her actions revealed a sense of seduction. If Yi Xian wasn't strong enough, he would have been seduced. Luo, you're finally awake. What happened just now? Yi Xian asked hurriedly. I don't know. After I refined that half of the charm fusion crystal, I suddenly fell into a strange state. It should be because of my bloodline. I also unlocked some inherited memories. Luo shook her head. In the next moment, her eyes lit up. She exclaimed, Young master, quickly bring me back to the imperial capital. I want to kill everyone. Cough, you just passed the tribulation, and your claw intent hasn't increased. At most, you can deal with a 6th tribulation Supreme Being, right? Yi Xian frowned. Who said that? My claw intent is already at 60%. Moreover, my current strength is enough to deal with those 3 6th tribulation Supreme Beings. Luo suddenly puffed up her chest and looked serious. After Yi Xian heard this, he asked in surprise, Really? Of course. Luo replied solemnly. Yi Xian looked at her small face and said in a low voice, Good, in that case, you can charm the Empress of the Fox Charm dynasty. No problem. After Luo finished speaking, Yi Xian's clone used the Eyes of the Void again. Then, he took Luo and stepped over. At this time, more than half an hour had passed since the rebellion of the 10 princes. The 10 princes had probably been captured. Not only that, but the Empress was probably the same. However, since Luo was so confident, Yi Xian went over to observe Luo's true combat strength. In the next moment, Yi Xian and Luo appeared outside the imperial capital. The Eyes of the Void could pinpoint 2 places. One was the place where White Dragon fell, and the other was outside the imperial capital. Yi Xian pinned it. Let's go. Chapter 878. No. It wasn't that Yi Xian was carrying Luo, but that Luo was carrying Yi Xian. Luo, an early-stage 6th Supreme Being, was at least 3 times faster than Yi Xian. In Luo's eyes, Yi Xian was like a snail. Soon, they rushed into the imperial city. After such a thing happened, the imperial city was locked down, and a defensive array was activated. Hee, it's just a defensive array. Luo raised her hand with a smile, then clawed down. Bam! A big hole was instantly opened in the defensive array.
Yi Xian swallowed his saliva. This girl's attack power was at least 10 times stronger than his. She could tear him to pieces with a single claw. After the defensive array was broken, Yi Xian and Luo Luo quickly rushed in. The general guarding the imperial city was shocked, but he was instantly killed by Luo Luo's claw. Yi Xian quickly went over and took his interspatial ring. Today, the Fox Charm dynasty was going to change. At that moment, Yi Xian and Luo Luo rushed to the Fox King Palace, where the battle happened half an hour ago. At this moment, although Yi Xian didn't see the tragic scene of corpses everywhere, there was a river of blood. The corpses should have been taken away by someone long ago. How dare you fly in the imperial city? At this moment, a man suddenly rushed over. It was another general. Generals were at least mid-stage 5th supreme beings, but at this level, even Yi Xian could be killed in an instant, let alone Luo Luo. In an instant, the general was killed, his head chopped off by Yi Xian. When we take over the Fox Charm dynasty, I'll let my father be the emperor. Luo Luo said proudly. If she married the crown prince by long, she would be the crown prince's wife. However, she didn't want to be the crown prince's wife. She would rather be a princess. Luo Luo's 6th tribulation supremacy aura was quickly detected by the emperor. Who are you? The emperor of the Fox Charm Holy Dynasty flew out of the Fox King Palace. When he saw that the newcomers were Yi Xian and Luo Luo, his entire body trembled violently. Just now, wasn't it Yi Xian who took Bai Long away? It's you. The emperor's gaze locked onto Yi Xian, but in the next moment, he felt that something was amiss. This was because the person who exuded the aura of a 6th tribulation supreme was not Yi Xian, but the young lady beside Yi Xian. The white dragon is already dead, and I took out the charm fusion crystal. Now, I'll give you a chance. Submit to me, and I'll protect your Bai family from destruction. Yi Xian took 2 steps in the air, his voice spreading throughout the entire imperial city. Bastard! Shouted the emperor furiously. His Bai clan was a clan that had established a country. The ancestor of the Bai clan was the founding emperor of the Fox Sage dynasty. But now, the charm fusion crystal had fallen into the hands of an outsider. That wasn't the main point. The main point was that only 2 of them had come and wanted the Bai clan to submit. How was that possible? Hu Lai, come with me and kill them, shouted the emperor. Another figure flew out of the Fox King Palace. It was Bai Long's bodyguard, Hu Lai, one of the 3 6th tribulation supremes of the Fox Sage dynasty. Humph, you don't know how to appreciate favors. Luo Luo snorted coldly, and her bright eyes suddenly turned pink. Charm. After refining the entire charm fusion crystal, Luo Luo's charm ability was extremely powerful. Originally, the people of the Fox Sage clan had an innate resistance to mental attacks, but under the power of the charm fusion crystal, this resistance was close to 0. Immediately, the emperor of the Fox Sage dynasty stopped moving, and his eyes began to turn pink. This wasn't the emperor of the Fox Sage dynasty using charm, but he was charmed. Not good, you're courting death. Hu Lai's expression changed drastically, and he quickly charged towards Luo Luo. He was also a member of the Fox Sage clan, and he knew that as long as he killed the charmer, the person who was charmed would be liberated. Unfortunately, in front of Luo Luo, his strength was still unable to stir up a big wave. When Hu Lai's eyes turned pink and he stopped moving, Yi Xian was shocked. This was the effect of the charm fusion crystal. After refining the charm fusion crystal, Luo Luo's charm ability had greatly increased, and even the emperor of the Fox Sage dynasty was instantly charmed. Hee, success. Luo Luo clapped her hands. Now she was very proud. After all, even the emperor of the Fox Sage dynasty was charmed by her. As long as she thought about it, the emperor and Hu Lai would slit their throats and commit suicide. Very good, in the future, your father will be the emperor, and the entire Fox Sage dynasty will be yours, said Yi Xian with a smile. To be honest, he was very lucky to have signed a master and servant blood contract with Luo Luo. Originally, he thought that there would be someone who could keep up with his footsteps, but he didn't expect the devouring system to level up so quickly, and those people could only look at his back and shake their heads. Now there was finally someone who was more heaven-defying than him, and that person was Luo Luo. At this moment, oh, there are 2 powerful auras coming. One is an early-stage 6th supreme being, and the other is a mid-stage 6th supreme being. Luo Luo's expression suddenly became serious. When Yi Xian heard it,
He was shocked. Mid-stage 6 supreme being? Where did it come from? Previously, he learned from the second prince that there were only 3 sixth tribulation supremes in the entire imperial capital, and they were all early-stage 6 supreme beings. Then, who was this extra mid-stage 6 supreme being? Young master, don't be afraid. Isn't it just a mid-stage 6 supreme being? Luo Luo clenched her small fist and said confidently with a look of disdain. Although she said so, Yi Xian was still a little nervous. After all, the other party was a mid-stage 6 supreme being, and might come from a high-grade holy dynasty. Their strength was definitely not to be underestimated. Yi Xian and Luo Luo stood there quietly. At this time, many people had already rushed out. Half an hour ago, there was a coup d'état here, and now someone threatened to destroy the imperial family, so naturally, the experts guarding here would come out. Soon, 2 people were reflected in Yi Xian and Luo Luo's eyes. A man and a woman, an old man and an old woman. That old woman seems to be a mid-stage 6 supreme being. Yi Xian could feel the aura emitted by the other party. It was very strong. After all, she was a realm higher than him. Who are you? The old man asked. Yi Xian understood that this person was the previous emperor, Bai Long's grandfather, the retired emperor of the Humei Holy Dynasty. As for the old woman, he didn't know. In the face of this question, Luo Luo didn't waste time and directly used charm on the old man. Be careful. The old woman hurriedly covered the old man's eyes. Charm was the same as the eye of control, it needed to be used through the eyes. As long as the eyes were closed, the charm wouldn't succeed. Humph. Luo Luo snorted in dissatisfaction and locked her eyes on the old woman. Charm. You want to succeed with a mere charm? The old woman's eyes flickered, and her pale white hair suddenly began to flutter. Charm didn't work on her. How can it be? It's just a realm difference. How can it not work? Luo Luo exclaimed in surprise. Chapter 879. The cultivation technique that my absolute Yin Palace cultivates is a spirit-type martial arts. You still want to charm me, you lowly girl? The old woman shouted in a low voice. Yin Palace. When these 2 words entered the ears of Yi Xian and the other 2, they were surprised for a moment. The old woman was not from the Fox Charm dynasty. She should be from a high-grade holy dynasty. Moreover, it should be a human holy dynasty as she was not from the Fox Charm clan. You old witch! How dare you scold me? You're courting death. Luo Luo was very angry and rushed out. Bitch, I'll skin you alive. The old woman was also angry. She took out a long whip and lashed it at Luo Luo. Now, this level of battle was not something that Yi Xian could interfere in. However, for Luo Luo's safety, Yi Xian used the burning eye on the old woman. Unexpectedly, the old woman was not affected at all. She did not even frown. The Yin Palace cultivates spiritual martial arts that directly attack one's mind. For example, illusions and so on. That's why it resisted my burning eye. Yi Xian thought to himself. Of course, the main reason was that he was only a 5th stage supreme being, which was 3 realms lower than the old woman. You too, give me your interspatial rings. Yi Xian said to the emperor of the Fox Charm dynasty and Hu Lai. The 2 of them had been charmed by Luo Luo, so they obeyed Yi Xian's order and threw the interspatial rings to Yi Xian. Kid, you're courting death. At this time, the retired emperor suddenly shouted and charged at Yi Xian. He could not defeat Luo Luo, but he could defeat Yi Xian. Humph. Yi Xian caught the 2 interspatial rings. Ding. The host has made a breakthrough. You are now a 5th tribulation supreme being. As his realm increased, his aura suddenly surged. Yi Xian immediately turned his head. Burning eye. The retired emperor did not cultivate any spiritual martial arts except for the Fox Charm clan's innate resistance. Therefore, he could not resist the burning eye. You too, don't do anything. I'll do it myself. Yi Xian said to the emperor of the Fox Charm dynasty and Hu Lai. In an instant, he was fighting with the retired emperor. The retired emperor was an old man who had cultivated for dozens of years. His state of mind was extremely high. He could withstand the burning eye. I don't believe that you can withstand it forever. Yi Xian's eyes flickered as he used the burning eye again. When the burning eye burned his soul for the second time, the Grand Emperor couldn't help but cry out in pain. However, he didn't stop attacking Yi Xian. Luo 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 Luo, Luo Luo Luo, Luo luo luo, luo, luo luo luo, luo luo luo, luo luo luo, and luo luo luo, luo luo luo, luo 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 luo, and luo luo luo. Luo 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 and luo 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 were evenly matched. Yi Xian was also paying attention to Luo Luo when he was fighting with the retired emperor. However, his worries were unnecessary. Luo Luo had the upper hand in the other battle. Kid, you dare to be distracted? Dang! The retired emperor suddenly condensed a huge claw and slashed down from the sky. However, Yi Xian had seen through it and dodged it first. Luo 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 was in the sky, so his agility advancement was useless. It was difficult to deal with the retired emperor. However, if he wanted to, he could let the emperor and Hu Lai join the battle. Then it would be 3 against 1. The retired emperor would definitely die. However, he would not do that. After all, the retired emperor was a 6th tribulation supremacy. He would be charmed by Luo Luo. At this moment, old monster, I'm not going to play with you anymore. Goodbye. Luo Luo suddenly shouted. Her voice fell into the ears of Yi Xian and the retired emperor. They could not help but glance at her. Whoosh! They saw the phantom of a golden fox suddenly condense behind Luo Luo. Then with a flash of cold light, the cold light hit the white-haired old woman's body. In the next moment, the white-haired old woman's head was grabbed and sent flying. Yi Xian was shocked. A mid-stage 6th tribulation supremacy white-haired old woman was killed in one move. Gulp. The retired emperor was dumbfounded when he saw this scene. He knew the identity of this white-haired old woman. She was an expert from a high-rank holy dynasty. However, she was killed by a young girl who was not even 15 years old. Was she still human? At this moment, Luo Luo suddenly turned to look at the retired emperor. Not good. The retired emperor's expression changed, but it was too late. His eyes turned pink in an instant. He was charmed by Luo Luo. Done. Luo Luo clapped her hands and shouted cheerfully. She charmed 3 6th tribulation supremacies and killed a mid-stage 6th tribulation supremacy. This achievement was already beyond Yi Xian's reach. In the future, this girl will be the one to help me show off and soar. Yi Xian sighed. Young master, here. Luo Luo leaned over and handed the old woman's interspatial ring to Yi Xian. Not bad. These things are enough for me to reach the limit of 5th tribulation supremacy and receive the 6th tribulation of supremacy. Yi Xian didn't act pretentiously and directly poured the contents into his devouring space. Ding. The success rate of the host's tribulation is 80%. The system prompted. Compared to other people, Yi Xian's golden body was not bad. However, compared to the crown prince by long, his golden body was not good enough. However, what he devoured just now was only some cultivation items. Those natural treasures that could improve his golden body naturally had to be specially devoured. Ding. The success rate of the host's tribulation is 100%. Do you want to undergo the tribulation? The system's prompt sounded again. Yes. Yi Xian replied. The next moment, tribulation lightning began to gather above his head. The officials of the Fox Charm dynasty who came out to watch were stunned. Yi Xian and Luo Luo jointly launched a coup d'état and killed people. Now, they were actually undergoing the tribulation in the imperial city? However, they also understood that the Fox Charm dynasty was about to change dynasties. The retired emperor and the other two were still shouting and shouting, but now they were standing there quietly and doing nothing. Obviously, they had been charmed. They understood that as long as they did not seek death, the new emperor would not kill them. They would continue to attack them, but it would be a different emperor. Boom! Hundreds of people watched Yi Xian undergo the tribulation, while Luo Luo stood aside and watched. Of course, even without Luo Luo, Yi Xian was not afraid of being disturbed. After all, his success rate of passing the tribulation was 100%, which meant that the tribulation lightning could not hurt his golden body. Soon, the 6th tribulation lightning was all over, and Yi Xian also heard the system's prompt. Ding! You have successfully passed the tribulation. You are now at the early stage of 6th tribulation supremacy. He had successfully passed the 6th tribulation of supremacy. Now, Yi Xian was on the same level as Luo Luo again. When the others saw this scene, they were so scared that their faces turned pale. One should know that even the emperor was seriously injured by the sixth tribulation lightning when he was undergoing the tribulation.
Chapter 880.
Young master, now that I have taken control of the Fox Charm Holy Dynasty, quickly inform my father.
Luo Luo said hastily when she saw that Yi Xian had successfully passed the tribulation.
I know my clone has already gone.
Yi Xian nodded silently. He had to leave a way out for himself. His clone did not follow him this time. If Luo Luo failed, he could still hide her in the storage space. Fortunately, Luo Luo did not let him down. Not only did she charm 3 Sixth Tribulation Supremes, but she also killed a mid-stage 6th Tribulation Supremacy from a high-grade Holy Dynasty. Her strength frightened him.
Hee, then let's go to the treasury. Luo Luo said and suddenly turned to look at the 3 people. I will lead the way for you 2 masters.
The emperor hurriedly scooted over. The emperor of the Fox Charm Holy Dynasty, Bai Yang, was above everyone. Who would have thought that he would call Yi Xian master? This was a rare scene. The 2 of you can go and do what you need to do. After Luo Luo finished speaking, she directly pulled Yi Xian away while Emperor Bai Yang led the way. The Fox Charm Holy Dynasty had been established for 1,000 years, and Yi Xian was looking forward to seeing how many good things there were. Soon, Bai Yang led Yi Xian and Luo Luo into the treasury. The treasury of the Fox Charm Holy Dynasty was located under a palace. The owner of this palace was the place where the retired emperor lived. Masters, please take whatever you want, Bai Yang said with a smile.
Nonsense. Yi Xian rolled his eyes and said, take a look and see if there are any of these things in the treasury.
Bai Yang took a look and immediately shook his head. These are all precious items. I'm afraid that only high-grade holy dynasties have them. However, I have seen these patterns once.
What?
Yi Xian raised his eyebrows. The patterns that Bai Yang mentioned were actually the patterns of the Devourer Beast. Did that mean that Bai Yang had seen the Devourer Beast before? Of course, it was possible that it was not the case. Even so, Yi Xian asked excitedly, where is it? It's in the cultivation ground of the Fox Charm Holy Dynasty, not far from the imperial capital, Bai Yang said.
Take me there immediately.
Yi Xian was a little agitated. At that moment, Bai Yang personally brought Yi Xian to the cultivation ground. This cultivation ground was filled with supreme saint beasts, birds, and beasts. The Fox Charm Sacred Dynasty had cultivated them for war. According to Bai Yang, the devouring beast was a black dragon and had the mark of the devouring beast on its forehead. This black dragon could not be charmed, and it often fought with other supreme sacred beasts. Every time it won, it would devour its opponent. Its strength increased very quickly. Hearing this, Yi Xian was almost certain that this black dragon was the devourer. Very quickly, Bai Yang led Yi Xian to the devouring beast. At the same time, Yi Xian also discovered a hidden effect of the Eye of Perception.
Ding! Discovered devouring beast. If there was a devouring beast within the range of the Eye of Perception, it would actually sound an alarm.
This was a good thing. This way, if Yi Xian happened to encounter a devouring beast, he would not miss it.
Roar!
The devouring beast also noticed Yi Xian and immediately pounced towards him.
A mere peak paragon saint level 5 dares to roar in front of me?
Yi Xian shouted and suddenly drew his sword.
Rip!
The sword flashed and the black dragon's head was cut off, and it died instantly. Yi Xian quickly went over and kept the corpse.
Ding!
The host has devoured a devouring beast's corpse and obtained 1 advancement point. This notification sound was something that Yi Xian had not heard for a long time. Finally, there is 1 more advancement point. I will keep it first and use it when necessary. Yi Xian squinted his eyes. The previous advancement point was used to strengthen the Heavenly Eye clan's bloodline. Now that he had obtained another advancement point, it would also increase his strength imperceptibly.
Very good.
Continue to pay attention to this mark. Yi Xian reminded them. In fact, when he arrived at each city, he would subconsciously ask around for information about the devouring beast. Unfortunately, the devouring beast was extremely rare and until now, he had only seen 1. Then, he and Bai Yang quickly returned to the imperial capital. The emperor was not dead, so he could temporarily deal with some matters. As for Yi Xian and Luo Luo, they were looting the imperial treasury. In the imperial treasury. Young master, why don't we empty the imperial treasury? It is more important to increase our strength.
Luo smiled slyly. If the imperial treasury is empty, where will we get the money to fight in case there is a war? Yi Xian rolled his eyes. That's true. Luo decided to put some things back. However, there were not many things in the imperial treasury. Most of them were with the emperor and the retired emperor, so they had been devoured by Yi Xian. Even if Yi Xian devoured the entire imperial treasury, he would not be able to break through to the middle stage paragon saint level. After all, if there were so many heavenly treasures, how could there only be 3-6 tribulation supremes in the Humei dynasty? At this time, Yi Xian's clone was still rushing to Silverwing City. Coincidentally, Yi Xian took the opportunity to carefully examine the white-haired old woman's interspatial ring. The white-haired old woman came from a high-grade holy dynasty called the Royal Holy Dynasty. She belonged to a faction in the Royal Holy Dynasty called the Jianghu Palace. Most of the people in the Jianghu Palace are women who are good at mental attacks. The white-haired old woman came to the Humei dynasty this time to select some talented young women from the Humei clan to nurture. Yi Xian thought to himself. There were many things in the white-haired old woman's interspatial ring, but most of them were used to increase one's mental strength. The devouring system could be immune to charms, but it could not resist illusions. Increasing one's mental strength could increase one's resistance to mental attacks. Therefore, Yi Xian chose to devour all of these things. As for the martial arts related to mental strength, Yi Xian did not learn them. Those martial arts were much weaker than the Eye of Illusion and Burning Eye, so he gave up on them. However, Yi Xian found something that shocked him in the white-haired old woman's interspatial ring. It was a bronze token with 3 words engraved on it. Burning Sun Hall. Jianghu Palace. Burning Sun Hall? After seeing the token, Yi Xian's body trembled violently. Could this be related to the Yin Yang old ancestor? The Royal Holy Dynasty. Yi Xian narrowed his eyes. The jade token that old immortal Tianju gave him required him to surpass the supremacy realm to see its information. Therefore, Yi Xian guessed that the Jianghu Palace and the Burning Sun Hall were definitely not the same forces as the Yin Yang old ancestor. Since that was the case, he would make a trip to the Royal Holy Dynasty. The Jianghu Palace mainly cultivates mental martial arts, including illusions, mental attacks, and controlling objects. The Burning Sun Hall's cultivation method is relatively simple, which is to raise the sovereign golden body. They walk the path of physique. Yi Xian thought to himself. The Jianghu Palace and the Burning Sun Hall were 2 forces that were hostile to each other. They would kill each other on sight. The enmity between them had a history of 100 years. Chapter 881. Very quickly, 2 days passed. When the Silver-Winged City Lord heard that his daughter had charmed the emperor, he fell from his chair. He knew that he was going to be the emperor, so he couldn't even stand properly. In order to save time, Yi Xian's clone used the Eye of the Void and opened a void door to bring him to the imperial capital. Father, you will be the emperor of the Fox Sage dynasty in the future. The 3 of them will assist you. When Luo saw the Silver-Winged City Lord, she jumped over and held his arm happily. Luo's surname wasn't Luo, but Luo. Her father's name was Luo Yi. This time, Yi Xian was lucky. He descended upon Silverwing City once again and brought the entire Luo clan over. Since the founding of the Fox Sage dynasty, the imperial family had always been surnamed Bai. However, from today onwards, their surname would be Luo. Luo Yi was only a 4th tribulation supremacy, but Hu Lai and the former Emperor Bai Yang were always by his side, so there was no need to worry about his safety. Not only that, but Luo had also charmed Luo Yi personally. This way, no one could attack Luo Yi. Of course, Luo wouldn't order Luo Yi to do anything. As for Luo herself, she was addicted to being a princess. About a week later. Young master, now that the matters of the Fox Sage dynasty have been settled, where are we going? Luo jumped to Yi Xian's residence and asked. The Fox Sage dynasty was only a mid-grade sage dynasty, so they couldn't stay here anymore. Hence, they had to go to a higher-grade place. Let's go to the Royal Sacred Dynasty. Yi Xian opened his eyes. These days, he had been using the art of the whale to refine the dragon luck and improve his sovereign golden body. Of course, he couldn't take too much of the dragon luck. After all, the dragon luck was very important to the Fox Charm Holy Dynasty. Dragon luck was the foundation of a country. If it was too little, the heaven and earth yuan qi of the Fox Charm Holy Dynasty would become scarce. Is the Royal Sacred Dynasty the high-grade sage dynasty where the absolute Yin Palace is located?
Luo Luo asked curiously.
Yes, I have to investigate some things.
Yi Xian nodded silently.
Although he didn't know if the Yinju Palace and the Burning Sun Hall had anything to do with that Yin Yang old ancestor, Yi Xian still had to make a trip there.
Oh, are you going to investigate that Yin Yang patriarch?
Luo Luo asked again. She was practically the closest person to Yi Xian now, so it wasn't a big deal for her to know this.
Yes, Yi Xian replied.
Since that's the case, let's go to the Burning Yang Hall. That absolute Yin Palace cultivates spirit cultivation methods and is more difficult for us to deal with. The Burning Sun Palace mainly cultivates the golden sovereign body, so it's easier to deal with them.
Luo Luo blinked her large eyes and said. Actually, Yi Xian thought the same.
The absolute Yin Palace mainly cultivated spiritual techniques. His burning eye, eye of illusion, and eye of control did not have much effect. The Hall of Burning Sun mainly cultivated the sovereign golden body, and his comprehension of sword intent was not low. Even if he didn't use his Heaven's Eye, he would still be able to fight against the other party. If he used his Heaven's Eye, he would at least be able to fight someone one level higher.
This was his conservative estimate.
We will depart tomorrow.
Yi Xian decided to stay for one more day.
He first called his clone over, and then fused with his clone to upgrade his cultivation. After that, he sent his clone to the Royal Sacred Dynasty to scout ahead. The Absolute Yin Palace and the Burning Sun Palace were irreconcilable enemies, so Yi Xian wanted to send his clone to the Absolute Yin Palace, while his main body and Luo Luo went to the Burning Sun Palace. Very quickly, the next day arrived, and Yi Xian and Luo Luo set off immediately. The Royal Sacred Dynasty was a high-grade sacred dynasty, and there was still some distance between it and the Fox Charm Sacred Dynasty. On the way, they still had to pass through a few low-grade sacred dynasties. In about a week's time, they passed through these low-grade sacred dynasties and arrived at the Royal Sacred Dynasty. In the Bloodcliff continent, humans and foreign races could still coexist peacefully, but the Sunflame Sacred Dynasty and other countries were more pedantic. In the Royal Sacred Dynasty, although the majority of people were humans, there were still some foreign races. Not only that, Yi Xian heard that there were also demon races. However, these demon races were not cursed.
Young master, what do we do now? Do we go directly to the Burning Sun Palace?
After entering the Royal Sacred Dynasty, Luo Luo asked. Before they had entered, Yi Xian's clone had already entered the Royal Sacred Dynasty and headed to the Absolute Yin Palace's territory.
Let's go directly to the Burning Sun Palace.
The Burning Sun Palace's strength is not weak in the Royal Sacred Dynasty, and they mainly cultivate the sovereign golden body, which is suitable for us to cultivate.
Yi Xian replied.
Yes, I only have one spiritual attack, which is my charm. I mainly rely on my strength to fight.
Luo Luo nodded.
Earlier, Yi Xian's clone had asked about the location of the Burning Sun Palace, so he brought Luo Luo directly to the Burning Sun Palace. The Absolute Yin Palace and the Burning Sun Palace were not weak, and it was said that there were 9th Tribulation Sovereigns guarding them. The white-haired old woman that Luo Luo had killed was only an outer court deacon of the Absolute Yin Palace. An outer court deacon had the strength of a 6th Tribulation Sovereign, which was enough to show the strength of the Absolute Yin Palace. The aptitude and strength of the disciples of the two great powers were not weak, and 6th Tribulation Sovereigns were more common there. Yi Xian and Luo Luo could only be considered ordinary if they went there. After a few days, they finally arrived at the Burning Sun Palace's territory. Coincidentally, the Burning Sun Palace was recruiting disciples. Young master, the Burning Sun Palace is recruiting disciples. Should we go? Luo Luo held onto Yi Xian's arm and asked. At this moment, they had entered a city under the Burning Sun Palace's control. Let's go take a look, we don't have to join.
Yi Xian said.
They were only here to investigate, they didn't have to join. Of course, if they joined the Burning Sun Palace, the investigation would be easier. The Burning Sun Palace was extremely powerful, and every month, they would recruit odd job disciples and outer court disciples. If they met the requirements, they would be directly accepted as an outer court disciple. Yi Xian and Luo Luo went to the Burning Sun Palace's recruitment point in the city, but unexpectedly, there was already a sea of people. There were at least 100 people. Almost all of them are 4th and 5th Tribulation Sovereigns. There are only a few 6th Tribulation Sovereigns. Yi Xian used his Eye of Revelation to scan the crowd, The people who came were all young, but the 6th tribulation sovereigns were estimated to be around 20 years old. As expected of a high-grade sacred dynasty, there are so many geniuses in such a small city. Luo couldn't help but say, "You're only 14 years old, but you're already a 6th tribulation sovereign. It won't be a problem for you to enter the inner court. I guess you can only enter the outer court."
Yi Xian said softly.
The two of them started to line up. Although they were strong, they still had to abide by the rules. As time passed, the people in front of Yi Xian and Luo decreased, but the line didn't shorten, instead it grew longer. When it was Yi Xian and Luo's turn, two people suddenly cut into the line in front of Yi Xian and Luo.
"Hey, don't you two know the rules?"
Luo subconsciously shouted.
Chapter 882.
One of them was tall while the other was short. The taller one was 1.8 meters while the shorter one was less than 1.5 meters. Both of them were at the initial stage of the 6th tribulation supremacy. When the two of them heard Luo's words, they turned around angrily. "Little girl, it's none of your business that we're cutting the queue."
"Shut up!"
the taller youth shouted angrily. The shorter youth also turned around. When he saw Luo's furry tail, his eyes lit up. "Little brother. I'm a little sister. Be nice to her." After he finished speaking, he walked to Luo's side and said with a wretched smile, "Little fox, are you alone?
Go to the back and line up. Otherwise, I'll beat you up."
Luo shouted. She hated this kind of person the most. Perhaps it was because she was influenced by Yi Xian. After all, Yi Xian had always been upright and handsome in her heart. "Oh, this little fox has quite a temper." The shorter youth smiled wretchedly and reached out to touch Luo's tender face. But in the next moment, an unprecedented pain rose in his heart. "Ah!" The shorter youth's hand was agitated and quickly reached to his chest to grab his clothes. His painful cry attracted the attention of the surrounding people. "Big brother, what's wrong with you?" The taller youth hurried over. "Humph, you're not even as tall as me and yet you want to touch me. Did you go berserk?" Luo had a gloating look on her face. You know how to use a mental attack," the shorter youth said in astonishment. When he said this, everyone present took a step back. Mental attack? This was the territory of the Burning Sun Hall. Someone actually dared to cultivate a mental martial art. This was a challenge to the authority of the Burning Sun Hall. Good Lord, you actually cultivated a mental martial art. You dare to come here instead of hiding. Do you want to join the Burning Sun Hall? What a joke. You must be sent by those old women in the Absolute Een Palace. You want to infiltrate the Burning Sun Hall as a spy? I knew it. How is it possible for a teenage girl to break through to the 6th tribulation supremacy? Those with background would have entered the Burning Sun Hall long ago. Everyone, be careful. This little fox's attack is hard to defend against. The surrounding people retreated and avoided Luo's eyes. They all knew that many mental attacks were performed through the eyes. As long as they didn't look at each other, it wouldn't be a problem. In an instant, Luo was isolated. The people in the queue all dispersed, leaving only one person beside her. Sigh, I actually forgot about that. Yi Xian felt a bit guilty. If he had known earlier, he would have directly attacked and not used the burning eye. Luo. They were in the city. Under normal circumstances, fighting was not allowed in the city. However, Luo dared to kill in front of so many people. She was extraordinarily bold. After seeing the 5th tribulation supremacy die, Yi Xian understood that they were in big trouble this time. Humph, you two humans, die for me too. Luo's gaze fell on the tall and short young men. Oh no. Their expressions changed. They felt a powerful aura. Although Luo was only a 6th tribulation supremacy, her strength was not something they could resist. Unfortunately, it was too late for regrets. Luo had already rushed to their side when the short young man stood up. Rip. With two crisp sounds, two heads flew into the air. The two 6th tribulation supremacies, the tall youth and the short youth, died one after another. They weren't from this city. They heard that the Burning Sun Hall was recruiting here today, so they came to sign up and wanted to join the Burning Sun Hall. But they didn't expect trouble to come from the mouth. Now, the people present didn't dare to say anything. They didn't even exclaim. killing a sixth tribulation supremacy in an instant. This strength was enough to kill all of them. "How dare you!" Suddenly, an explosive shout rang out. Yi Xian turned his head to look and discovered that the outer sect disciple from the Burning Yang Hall had walked over. Behind him were two people, both of whom were at the middle stage of the sixth sovereign stage, and the outer sect disciple in the lead had reached the peak of the sixth sovereign stage. They were the ones who registered just now. They couldn't do anything about Luo Luo killing people in the city. However, the person she killed just now wanted to join the Burning Sun Hall, so they couldn't do anything about it. Yi Xian looked at them with a heavy expression. The two mid-stage sixth tribulation supremacies were fine, but the peak sixth tribulation supremacy disciple in the lead was a little troublesome. Those who could join the Burning Sun Hall were not ordinary people. "How dare the two of you commit murder on the streets?" The lead disciple looked at Yi Xian and Luo Luo, who were isolated, and asked sternly. "Humph, I was the one who killed them. So what?" Luo Luo looked disapproving. Her aptitude was much higher than the three who had died. The two sixth tribulation supreme martial artists were already over 25 years old, which was a full 10 years older than her. If they could only accept one side, as long as the Burning Sun Hall wasn't blind, they would definitely accept her and not those two youths. The lead disciple actually knew that Luolua's aptitude was very high, but Yi Xian's burning eye just now was mistaken by others as practicing a mental-type martial technique. This was suspicious of them being spies of the Jianghu Palace. "The two of you must follow me back to the Burning Sun Hall to assist in the investigation," the lead disciple said in a very unyielding tone, as if he wouldn't allow Yi Xian and Luo Luo to refuse. However, they also had the strength. Two mid-stage sixth tribulation supremacies and one peak sixth tribulation supremacy. How could they not deal with two early-stage sixth tribulation supremacies? "What if we refuse?" Yi Xian narrowed his eyes and said coldly. "Then we can only treat you as spies of the Jianghu Palace and capture you." The lead disciple's eyes flickered. Yi Xian and Luo Luo looked at each other and said in their minds, "I'll hold back the peak sixth tribulation supremacy later. You can deal with the remaining two, but it's best not to kill them." "Okay." Luo Luo nodded. She still trusted Yi Xian. After all, they weren't facing a peak sixth tribulation supremacy disciple of the Jianghu Palace, but the Burning Sun Hall. Both sides looked at each other quietly. The surrounding people felt that there might be a big battle coming and hurriedly retreated. Yi Xian and Luo Luo were already prepared for a big battle. However, at this moment, a powerful aura suddenly approached. So powerful, it's at least a seventh tribulation supremacy. Yi Xian was shocked and immediately used his Eye of Revelation